Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to the Hump Day edition of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We are so glad you're here. All the way from Portugal, Tim Tactics is going to be talking about UFOs, aliens, humanity, and the connection between the three. Dirty Filth is here with another great cartoon. We got little Timmy James in studio for the UFO report, and we're going to have a wonderful, wonderful night tonight. Let us start off by saying hello to each and every one of you, including Race Fan in the gold medal position, Tim Mothman in his goatee sharing a silver, Kitty Caddywhack with a bronze medal tonight, and the rest of you, High Haunted Sky, welcome to SOR Chat. Robert Lamoth, Hippie Deidre, how are you? How's them Birkenstocks on Vancouver Island? Bar Madison, good to see you. John Kerner is here after last night's show. John Kerner will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Moving on, we have Tracy Winters. Mel WD40 is here, lubing us up for tonight's show because you always want to go into a show about alien contact nice and smooth, just in case. And if you don't know what I mean by just in case, well, thank you, Mel WD40, for being there with us. Mama Catherine's here. I love you, Mama Catherine. I think you're going to really enjoy tonight's show. And we'll chat very, very soon. Well, I get a text message in the morning. And that's what it means. I love her. Just love her. I want to give her a big hug. Ethanol, good to see you. Karen in the Woo Train, thanks for coming on in. Good morning, Skip to Malou. Little Timmy James in the chat room. How are you? Good. Thanks for coming on in. Road Flare, Lee the Bee, Noble Patrick, how you guys doing? All right, scrolling on down, we say hello next to John Lamb, and who's next here? Chill Farm, good to see you, my friend. Eternity Eternal, number 26 in your program tonight, starting at right wing from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. Thomas Rock, good evening to you as we continue on with our roll call. And who's next here? Just another guy named Harry. Alien Critter has returned. Alien Critter will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. I got it right. I got it right tonight. I'm so happy about that. All right. Walter Kochubinski, J Truth Seeker, Xanos, and Body Tech. Good morning to you and good evening to the rest of you. Scrolling on down, there's Cosmic Joe. If you wave at Cosmic Joe, he always waves back. Just like that. All right. What in tarnation? How are you tonight? Fast Hemi, good to see you. Lenda, thank you for coming on in. Algaray over on Twitch. Leg press 700 pounds 24 times to warm up for tonight's show. Yeah, no steroids either. He just wants to make sure that we mention that. No steroids. A Brock, it's been a while. Thanks for coming on back. So we continue on with our roll call. Frankie B, good to see you in the studio. Thanks for coming on in. Phyllis Mouche Perry, thank you for joining us. Hi, Pam Harris. Nice to see you. As we continue on with our roll call, we'll scroll on down just a hair. Marty Burback, nice to see you. Leacham, good to see you. Bob Thorson, thanks for coming on in. Gizmo, how you doing? Hi, Carol Amario. And who is next? CS. You're early tonight, CS. Nice to see you. Ozzy, how you doing? Susan Lawrence, thanks for coming on in. Bobbert, good to see you. And let's see here. Kende, thanks for coming on in. I'm Hardcore over on X. Good to see you. Millennium, my man. Thank you for joining us. And who else is here? Well, let's get the radio side going first. Hi, JSCO. How you doing? Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We have Tim Tactics coming on talking about UFOs, aliens, and the connection to humanity. He's all the way from Portugal. We're going to have a great show with him tonight. We are in roll call on our YouTube side as we prepare for tonight's show, and we are caught up on that. Want to remind everybody, hello, Carla, how are you? That the super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And of course, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You can wear our clothing out in public and actually be proud of it. And when I say public, more places than the flea market, the paint store, or anywhere else undesirable. Of Central British Columbia, you listening around the world. This, my friend, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair at our headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast, our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of pages. Rock out the Buckwood, read the newswire, check out our streams. You can follow us on X, Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Giant Charity. Help make you world 10% happier. I just reach Giant Charity today. You can find them on our website. We're going to have an amazing show for you tonight. We're heading over to Portugal where Tim Tactics is going to join us to talk about the relationship. Is there a relationship? Is it love? Can you hear me? Is it the love that I am looking for when it comes to aliens and their contact? We're going to find out with this. He's got a nice shirt and tie combination going on. Just, I know you can't see that on the radio side, but God, he looks good. He's making me look horrible here. Horrible as I sit here in a sweater and a vest and a ball cap on. At least I beat him in the beard section. Anyways, in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will be here with another creepy story, followed by Little Timmy James and in studio's UFO report. All right, we're going to get right to it right now. Let's have some fun, shall we? Tim Tactics has an extensive background in the covert European governance sector. This guy's a spook. He's a man in black. He looks like a man in black. You know, he's got that chiseled look in the cheeks. Anyways, where he worked on projects dedicated to understanding the presence and purpose of extraterrestrial life on Earth. During these projects, he encountered non-terrestrial life, a reality that, due to recent mainstream coverage, is now meeting a huge interest worldwide. If you want to check him on out, his website is allshifthappily.now.com. allshifthappily.now.com. Let's bring Tim in. Tim, it's great to have you on Spaced Out Radio for the first time. How are you?
Dave, thank you so much for having me. And I got to say that your beard is awesome. So I give you that.
I don't have much going for me besides an awesome radio show and this beard, you know, and Tim's nodding his head behind the screen saying, yep, that's true. That's true. You know, but that's what happens when you're an introverted radio host like I am. But Tim, thank you so much for getting up early in Portugal to do this show for us, because I'm very excited to have you on, knowing that you have an incredible background, and it's something that you have also made a life priority. I want to learn a little bit more about you, if you don't mind. When you started in the government side of everything, who did you work for, and how did you find out that UFOs and ETs were real?
Well, I wish I could put that into like one sentence, but that was a process of many years. Basically, I've been recruited for a project that was, I was 18, that was non-related to ETs, and it took over 4 years until I had an idea of what I was actually getting into. The reason for that is because, as you know, there's a lot of secrecy, a lot of classification about these things. And you can't actually sign up for something like that by just applying to it. There's no way, there's no recruitment center for these things. So it all started very conventional, doing research for an institution. We were looking into governmental things in the medieval times, very dry, but it already started back in that day when certain documents landed on my desk that I was then translating and analyzing from Latin, and figuring out that these were historical documents, first level sources that were talking about non-human existence in ancient Greek times, where basically people in ancient Greece were talking about these beings with snouts and tails that were living around the Acropolis, heavily doing the or involved in the building process. And it took 4 years. It took 4 years until more and more of these ET-related things happened.
Did you believe in UFOs and ET life prior to
this?
Yeah,
interesting question. The stuff is the question. The answer to that is that I've never had doubts about that. I didn't even I didn't even question it. So basically, when I left the program to continue with another program, I was kind of in shock when I was confronted with the real world and figured out that people mostly have no idea about these things. But it might sound weird, but I never thought about the fact that people could not know. That was just my point at that time.
Take me through your emotions when all of a sudden this paperwork starts crossing your desk and you're looking down at this, reading this as an analyst, and what are you thinking? Because for many people out there, like I know when I had my first close encounter, I was scared, I was nervous. It changed my entire paradigm of how I viewed and looked at life. Here you are working in a government sector. I believe this is in Germany, correct? Where this is happening. Here you are working in this government sector. This paperwork comes across your desk. How long did it take you to believe that it was real, and what were you going through emotionally as you're reading this?
Well, I got to say that very likely you would have not passed the test if you would have reacted the way that you just described it, because in these days the recruitment process was that basically more and more hints were given, and then the psychological reaction of that person, of the individual, would then be tested. So basically, my reaction was not emotional enough for your show, Dave, because there wasn't any. I was looking at these texts, and I basically took them as they were. I integrated them into my material. I looked into how can I incorporate them in the project that we were working on, and I think that was, well, in terms of the recruitment process, the right thing to do. Even later on, especially because there are multiple anthropomorphic stories in ancient Greece and ancient Rome where people turn into frogs and all of that. So I was not too worried about that. Later on, if we go on the recruitment process, In that facility, there were also different other experiments going on. It was a public facility in that, for that matter, semi-public, let's call it that way, semi-public. So not as disclosed as, not as enclosed as some of the later stuff. But one of the experiments I was then invited to that was going on, where people were basically opening something. Probably a lot of people out there would call it a portal, but what actually happens is that we are living basically on the edge of the visible universe. That is where humans are situated. But the beautiful feature about life and about photons is that there is life behind the photon. There's life behind the veil that we are looking at. And light performs as oceans and particles. So what they were doing was basically they were opening the wave pattern behind the visible light. And I always like compare that to looking at the ocean. You look at the ocean, you see this endless surface, and if you never go and approach that ocean, you might think you can walk on that. But in reality, there's a whole new world. When you dive right into that ocean, you see many, many different life forms. So I had a first encounter in these early stages of my recruitment by being at this experiment where they were basically shooting a laser in that and opening a visual field where three beings were wobbling around in that field. And if you ask me about my emotions, as much as I was extremely interested in the process and the experiment, once again, I did not overreact to it. I did not walk around and say, "Oh my goodness, I saw 3 aliens in a field." For me, it was more of like a very interesting experiment showing something that looked more like a hologram than realities that would cause an emotional effect and impact on me.
I don't know what kind of NDA, non-disclosure agreement, you have, but are we allowed to ask which department you worked for while this was going on?
No, there are certain rules. So I want to make that very clear, because I'm not a whistleblower. I'm not going out there to the mainstream news outlet and saying this is the way it is. I'm telling my experiences to people who already are aware of these things and can do the transfer in their minds and put these dots together. There are certain rules, because I'm not sanctioned to do what I'm doing. There's just a change in policy since 2019 that makes all the stuff that is right now coming up, forward, actually possible. So in 2019, the Pentagon changed its policies and changed it to, yes, we encourage people to tell their stories about ETs, but there's also certain limits, which includes especially agencies involved, organizations involved, people involved, and what has been flagged as so-called mistakes of the past. That is where I'm not going.
I don't blame you. But, as a journalist, I have to ask. You know that. It's just one of those little things that I have to do. The fact that you had this experience while working, and if this is a dangerous question, please tell me you just can't answer it. I'm very cool with that. Were you guys in your department not only controlled about the subject by the German government, probably the military, but was there any reliance on what the American government would have to say or do about this, or was it very individualized?
That indeed is a question that I can't answer, but I got to tell you that much, that historically the American government is amongst one of the first, one of the first nations that tapped into these advanced realities. And a lot of the stuff that is going on in Europe is in many ways interconnected with Pacific connections and corporations.
Because I know here in Canada, we try to act all tough that we're doing our own thing. But in reality, due to the Five Eyes, due to NORAD, due to all the other agreements, that anything UFO has to be passed through NORAD. It has to be. And that is the reality that I found that out probably about 5 years ago. So whatever incident happens in Canada, the Americans and the U.S. military automatically get.
Well, then you've answered your message yourself.
I love reading between the lines. People, my listeners, when I always tell you read between the lines, he just said that. He confirmed that we have to read between the lines on this subject. Now, are you an experiencer yourself of the phenomena?
Yes, I am. As I learned even in my kids' days, but so later on, my story was investigated and looked into by Linda Moulton Howe, who might be known out there. She's journalist too. And I was also interviewed by a two-time Emmy producer, and he asked that question, and I said, I'm not 100% sure. I think stuff happened in my childhood. And he made me ask my mom, and she was actually texting back and saying, yes, there were multiple occasions where voices were, when I was still a toddler in my room, there were voices. Oftentimes, well, at least one occasion, there were strange little gray figures in the garden, which led to the constellation in my family house that people were not allowed to talk about these things because it seemed scary, which then also kind of like fed into my belief that everyone on planet Earth knows about UFOs, but the common thing is we don't talk about it. So yeah, it's kind of an ironic constellation, to be honest, that later on I learned that people have no idea, or are being kept away from the truth actively, which of course comes from, the constellation of the 1940s, where people actively tapped into Foo Fighters, tapped into Roswell. Mostly, these things were there. It's hard to deny that these things have happened. But what has happened indeed is that people around this time were, mostly traumatized, and also trying to deal with the situation that the Cold War was going on. World War II was still not 100% done. And then we have Roswell too. So lots of reason for a military force to maybe pull the brake and maybe try to, dismiss the topic before they have a clear understanding what it actually is. That's the history of it.
So your own experiences, we'll get into these a little bit later. How did they lead you to where you are today, talking about this on a full-time venture?
Oh, that's a good question that I've never gotten. They deeply inspired me, to be honest. There were moments where it was spooky. I can clearly say that. A lot of the context due to the way that the biology of beings work and the biology of the human body works. There are certain fields. Actually, every body emits a certain field of electromagnetic information, certain frequential information, and multiple other things. And just tapping into one of these fields of a very exotic life form, that can be a lot for the nervous system. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people that have contacts oftentimes are, well, shocked and need some time to actually take these things in. So I've experienced that too. But overall, I got to say the overall extent, the beauty of the universe, the communication, and the wisdom and the fascination of the universe, that's definitely something that prevails.
Tim, for you, as you've gained, you have an inside track that the majority of us do not, and that only all of us could wish for. Are there any secrets that you could talk about that you wish you didn't learn?
Ooh, another interesting question. Yes, I mean, yeah, for sure. There's a lot of things going on in the universe. There's a lot of a lot of projects that are secret, classified, things that are happening on this planet with certain groups, certain all this. And then there are also programs and projects that are coming from outside. And if you're asking that way, yes, I found myself certain times, especially in the later stages of the projects, I found myself in the basement of my parents' house and deeply crying over certain things. But overall, I think the universe is a fantastic place, and it's kind of like changing over time anyway. Because what we got to understand is that the reality that we're perceiving right now is just like one aspect of a much broader reality and a broader timeline, and certain developments that come from trauma and so on. They will vanish over time anyway, because there's an integrated healing factor in the universe. And what we figured in these advanced programs is that about 95% on this horizontal line of life that we experience in the universe, 95% of the universe is good. 95% of the universe is socially very acceptable, very friendly, joyful, fun, and loving, even to an extreme degree loving. 5% are marked in these programs as socially incompatible with the standards of human society. And that's kind of the reality that people at that time were facing.
Is it a good outlook for humanity?
Oh yes, 100%. 100%. We've actually made contact with a program. Let me give you the history. So and a little bit about details about that. So in the 1940s, 1920s, Germany especially was very deep into diving into the quantum universe, diving into the understanding that everything that is perceivable is not what is actually inside of an infinite universe. Max Planck was tapping into the idea that actually there's an infinite potential, there's an infinite field of anything can happen in the universe. It then developed over time into a project, a classified project, where people were tapping into the idea or looking into the idea: is there a designer, a creator? Is there a very mighty being that is outside of the veil of experience, behind the curtain, so to speak? Is there a being behind that? And how can we actually get in contact with them? And in my years, this contact has happened. We have actually managed to get into contact with this designer being that we've historically thought we would find. And it turned out it was like a beautiful collective experience that we've directly communicated with. A beautiful experience, actually. And it almost got me raging at that time, because I was not prepared to tap into something as beautiful and loving, because in these programs, a lot of the day-to-day basis is being alert. You never come into these programs and there is nothing happening in the world and everyone's like, hey, we have a quiet day today. That's not how the reality works. So entering these programs and communicating with a life form that's actually telling us, what, the universe is so sweet and it's so nice here, and you can actually have so many great experiences in the universe, and we actually just wait for humanity to realize that, so that we can all nicely play along, because that was the design anyway in the first place. That was kind of like a raging moment for me, because I couldn't integrate that at that time. Years later, I was like, yeah, they're right. It is that way.
Hold that thought. We're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Tim Tactics is here tonight. His website, if you want to check it on out, allshifthappily.now.com. When we come back, ET Contact on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we are clear. And I think he's adjusting his tie right now. He is a handsome man. He is a handsome man.
Thank you. I heard that.
Yes, not going to lie. You're a handsome man.
Thank you very much. You make me feel like I want to go to Canada again, because there's just a nice vibe about Canadian people with vests.
It's all a lie. It's all a lie. You know, we'll have to tariff you for it, but that's okay. Do you get to North America often?
I'm traveling quite a lot. Yeah. It depends. You know, there's so since the policies changed officially in 2019, the national level is responsible to bringing the disclosure forward. So there are certain nations that I'm working with, and there are also certain nations that prefer to do that themselves still. That determines a little bit where I'm traveling in the world.
Well, if you're free in May, you could join us in Vegas.
That sounds amazing. What is Vegas? I mean, what is Vegas? But what are you doing in Vegas?
We're gathering just a bunch of us, a bunch of ufologists and people from my team and some of our listeners. We're just going to party in Vegas for a weekend.
Oh my goodness, that sounds good.
And we're going to drive out to Area 51.
Yeah, don't cross the line. I've been friends with some people who work at Area 51, and yeah, they tell me all these stories about what happens with people who climb over the fence.
Yeah, no, I'm not crossing that. I'm not crossing that whatsoever. I went to 2 years ago. I went to the Little Alien for the first time, and
what is that?
seeing that it's in Rachel, Nevada, and it's right. It's about 3 hours from Vegas, in the middle of the desert, and behind it are the mountains, and on the other side of that is Area 51. And I'll be honest,
complex.
That was a little emotional for me.
Because you felt tempted to actually approach that area?
I will this time. I want a picture of me with the sign that says "Do not enter." I want that photo. So I'm going to brave that photo for about 30 seconds and then get the hell out.
Yeah, what I've been told, there are certain perimeters depending on where you are. It gets more risky for you, but I think the sign should hopefully be okay.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to test what the sign says. I'm not going to test that whatsoever. You know, it's like I don't go swimming in the ocean because I'm a meal. I'm not one of these thin people who a shark would look at and say use as a toothpick. You know, I'm not going to test the bad stuff, but I do want to go up to the gate and just get the picture with the sign. And okay, now I can leave. That's
it. Do it. I've been friends with people who work there, and the stories that sometimes you won't believe that, but there are foreigners in that area who do not speak English, who are just tourists, and who actually do not even want to cross and go into Area 51. And every now and then, some of these people just ride along and find themselves inside of it. And it's an interesting thing what then happens. So it's
sure.
better don't.
For sure. This is a fun night, man. This is a fun night so far. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed that too. It's I got to say that you're creating a very homey atmosphere in a way. I think that your approach of carrying like the mysteries into people's rooms and spaces and homes, I think that works out. I love it.
I think so. We're working on it. And let's see, where are we here? We've got about 45 seconds. Big thank you to Frankie, Mel WD40, Cosmic Joe, Galactic J, A. Brock, and Caged on the Inside for the great super chats so far. We really appreciate your love and support. Remember, I will take questions in hour 2. And yeah, this is great so far. This is absolutely wonderful.
Love it. In the next break, I'm probably gonna get myself a glass of water, but
Me too.
just so you know.
Yeah, me too. We got 5.5 minutes at the top, so that's all good.
Oh,
Our
good.
way,
Okay.
man. How you doing? Good to see you. And we're coming back here in about 5 seconds. Here comes the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. What's it like to have easy contact? My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us in. And we want to remind all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Let's bring on our guest, Tim Tactics. He is a ufologist, a researcher, former government agent in the beautiful country of Germany. And apparently, he likes good beer, because most Germans do. So I'm just going to assume that. I haven't confirmed that yet, but we're going to figure that out. And we're talking UFOs and ET contact. What do you like a good cold beer? Let's just be honest.
I don't, Dave. I don't. I don't drink German beer. Yeah, I'm not the standard norm German here.
You know what's funny is my little town has a giant German population. Like, we're only about 3,000 people, and probably about 1,000 of them are from Germany. And so, like, literally behind my studio here, there's a green belt with a town hall right beside it. And every year I get the German music, the cooking, and the cold beer and the singing that goes along with it. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. You're missing out on your own culture, my friend.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, when you had a meal too many times, then maybe you're more interested in other things.
All right, well, let's get back to aliens here for a second, because you have had interactions with non-human intelligence, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Was that while you were on the job or when you were off the job?
Both. Mostly, I would say 9.5 out of 10 times it was in the projects. It very rarely happens that I got contacted outside of the project, but it happened 2-3 times. And those were very special and very dear and personal moments. Yeah.
What was that like for you? What do you recall what they look like?
Oh yeah, 100%. It depends. So the projects basically at one point when the recruitment process is done, you go deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole, which is a good strategy because then you get confronted with so many things that you have an NDA on and you can't talk about that. That ensures quite basically that you don't walk around and tell these things. So yeah, I guess my very first, like the most shocking experience was a program with the Greys. But in privacy things happened as well. But if you're talking about the program with the Greys, you basically there's underground facilities. No surprise, they are, especially in the Cold War era. These things have been constructed all over the world and all over the planet. And you basically, come down into this facility hangar. You look down into that big open space, large as 3-4 football fields. I'm talking European football, not soccer. I mean soccer, but not American football. And then you find all these containers that are just they look like shipping containers, just metallic containers that are arranged in certain ways. And these are the environments where certain groups on this planet are contacting other life forms. The reason for that is, and also one of the answers to one of the most asked questions that I get is, why aren't beings just landing here and talking in the, why aren't they landing on the White House lawn and just walking around our cities? Every body has a certain, biology going on, space germs, space viruses, and so on, environmental factors. All this is a thing. So basically, these containers would ensure that there is a certain environment where these communications could happen. And yeah, there was direct communication with non-terrestrial life forms that was going on already since the 40s, 50s. And that was, for example, with beings very popular on planet Earth, million times seen, little gray beings with almond-shaped big eyes, which humans often refer to as the Greys.
I'm blown away right now. I'm blown away. So if I got this correct, it's like one of those Men in Black scenes where they have to check in, and when they get to the planet, they check in, and then they go into these containers, and that's where the contact happens.
Yeah, those are isolated biospheres, basically, where certain environmental conditions can be set up in such a way that contact is mostly safe.
What do you mean mostly safe?
Well, there's still an extreme impact on the nervous system of everyone involved. So there are certain protocols that are established when it comes down to contact with so-called exotic life forms, and mostly safe means that I was brought into that program. I was sitting on that inside of this container. So basically, you open the container. From one side, the agent or the personnel would go into that container, and it would be very low light kind of atmosphere, kind of dimmed down. You have a desk, you have a chair, and that is basically it. Everything that's inside of that metallic container. Then the door would be closed, and in my case, the other being would already be somewhere in that container. So the situation is that has an insane impact on your physical well-being and your nervous system, as you can think of. It is just a very very extreme situation in a certain way. It makes you feel a lot of different emotions, especially when the door is closed and you're inside of that thing, the container, I mean. And then also meeting with a very exotic and to human standards, strange looking entity is something where the body reacts to a degree that is almost insufferable. It is a very crystal clearing, weird experience that makes you almost want to, cry and run away at the same time, because you basically your experience of what reality is like is being so shaken that it becomes very difficult in that moment to just keep it all together. That's why I'm saying it's mostly safe. And I learned later on, which I've not been told in the moment when I was assigned for these projects, that certain similar projects have been going on the US side, and people have died from just an overload of into their own nervous system. That can happen. The nervous system of a human, of any being, can collapse by too much input, and then a being would be, would leave that body.
How many species of ETs would be in these capsules at any given time? Let's say today. if you were there today, how many different species would be incommunicado there?
When I get your question correctly, would ask how many species in one container, and then it would only be one. So each container would be specifically designed for one contact scenario with one species. If considering the fact that there were probably hundreds of these containers over the whole facility, I can only assume that there's quite a number of contacts with different species going on, but I can't
Right.
for sure tell you that, because I did not open any other of these containers except for the one that I was assigned to.
So inside this building, how many containers would there be? Like if we go in this warehouse, would there be 100, 200, maybe 3, maybe 4? How many?
It's a large facility, like a large facility, and the hangar that we're talking about, basically in the very moment when you exit that industrial elevator and you find yourself on a plateau, on little, well, quite high up, and looking down over the extended field of that hangar, you probably would see maybe 100, maybe less than that, but quite a dozen of these containers that would be sitting there. Less personnel than you would actually think there is. It is a very quiet and non-busy hangar, considering the size. But you can in those hangars you could place maybe 3 to 4 Boeings. That's how large the space is.
Oh, wow. Wow. So in these pods, would they have in these separate pods a different alien species, or would, say, a craft come down and it has 6 species in it, and then each one of them would go into a separate pod?
I'm not 100% sure about the details how that goes, to be honest, Dave. But I can say that usually, at least in my case, each container would only be suited and suitable for one species and one species only, which has to do with the life environment, the gravitation, the oxygen levels, the different other things. Sometimes there would be a divider in between these containers, just to ensure that there is kind of a safe contact happening. But I've only seen 2 of these containers out of probably less than 100, but definitely more than a couple.
Couple questions about this, and I'll ask them both at once here, but I will use punctuation in order to separate them. Where is this facility located? And second question, we have heard from Ross Coulthart, the journalist on News Nation, claim that he knows of a facility that was built over top of a large crashed UFO that they used a building to cover up. Would this be similar? Is that the building?
Well, first of all, I can't give you the coordinates of where that location is. There's a reason why they built these things underground, which happened basically in the Cold War era. One of the reasons for that is, the increasing danger at that time of nuclear attacks and so on. So a lot of these facilities, and I can only suggest that there's quite a number worldwide in different countries. These facilities are built in such a way that they are very secure, and they're extremely far deep in the soil, multiple miles deep, we're talking. And but again, there's many of them. If not a craft would have crashed and then people built a building around it. I mean, we've seen that happening in Chernobyl and what they did to that facility. I personally, I've never seen anyone build building around a craft. We do have craft revival teams. There are certain specialized forces on this planet. Their whole job, especially military forces, which I've never been a part of, their job is to go into places all around the world, and whatever landed there, whatever appeared there, investigate it and get as much of the stuff as possible. And there's actually a run. You gotta know that there's not only one agency or not one group that is looking into these landings and occasions. There is quite a number of even private groups of very high-ranking people that are, trying to get as much of that information as possible.
So if I'm assuming correctly, and so far I'm 0 for 1 in assumptions this half hour, especially that you don't drink beer, being German, which is weird to me. Is this strictly a German facility, or does every country have access to this so they could talk in these pods with the ETs?
No, this is strictly down to the people that were operating the facility and the advanced group that I was working for. However, most countries, I'm not saying all countries, but most developed countries that have the financial means operate these types of facilities. There are also comparable facilities in private ownership as well. With less financial budget, but they exist as well.
So this has extended these studies into private industry, whether it be, some of the companies we hear of all the time working on reverse engineering, whether it's British Aerospace or Lockheed Martin or companies along those lines.
Yeah, well, I can't confirm the names of the companies that you just mentioned, but I can suggest that in the 1940s, 1950s, we're talking about so-called breakaway societal elements when we analyze that situation. So basically, 1947, we have the Roswell crash. The president then came up within 2 weeks of saying we need a freaking Central Intelligence Agency to take care of that, because Germans, the Cold War, and aliens, that might be a little too much for the intelligence sector at that time. So within weeks, they have, from the ground up, they have established the CIA after Roswell. That is direct reaction to that impulse that happened. And then we've seen a so-called, tendency to break away from the societal standard norms, which means basically groups were looking into these crashes. First of all, the CIA, but later on, every other agency as well, looking into these crashes, looking into the technology that was there, and more developing the idea that this is too precious to be shared with the constitutional side of governments, and then becoming more of like rogue agencies, if you want to call it that way. And these rogue agencies have established themselves over time. We have presidents who've then, talked about these things and warned about the private sector with their own private air forces, with their own private military, and so on and so on. And then we have, more of a loose connection between these so-called advanced groups and the conventional governmental structures that are constitutionally, overviewed in to certain degrees. And then later on, we have the situation that some of the commission companies that have agreed upon looking into some of the ET technology, that they also have developed a certain tendency to go more independent and develop that way and more in their own interest. And in the 2010-ish years, we had a situation that a lot of groups on the planet know about the UFO factor, know about the non-terrestrial truth, and have re-engineered technology. And it was a initiative by the U.S. naval forces in around 2015 to start roundtable meetings with everyone involved. And again, that includes more independent breakaway agencies, that includes very sophisticated tech companies, that includes many other private groups on this planet that have the financial means to do so. And these were all brought to the same table in those times, just to come up with a plan of how do we connect the one reality that a lot of advanced groups are living, and the norm stream reality where people were kind of like still tapping in the blind, not really knowing that there is life outside of planet Earth.
It seems like a very sophisticated system that is going on right now. How do they keep it secret?
Is it a sophisticated system? I would mostly say that the system is suffering due to its historical setup, which comes from again the craziness of World War II. Lots of traumatized people that try to harm each other, trying to be greedy about certain technologies, being astonished by certain things, right? Looking into glass fiber optics, which is 100% derived from non-terrestrial intelligence, looking into data transmission over light photons, something that in the early 50s was so new to people that just the application, the technical application that was included in that was so amazing that basically people have developed a sense of division instead of a sense of cooperation, which then would lead to several ET programs around the world, starting in the Western culture, but then also spreading over to other cultures around the planet, who then also investigated in that subject. And overall, not the greatest situation if you're thinking about that this is just one planet and it is just one species, and usually the universe is better off cooperating instead of being greedy and dividing.
We have 2 minutes to go before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. Tim Tactics is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. You mentioned right off the top of the show that you believe these are beings that are helpful, that are coming here, that they have the best for humanity in mind. Yet on this side of the water, we, especially in the United States, get a threat narrative continuously thrown at us. What is your thought about the threat narrative?
Well, I got to be very clear about these things. I said we have 95% of very lovable, very appreciable beings, which actually, if you look into your own life and your experience on planet Earth, you will agree that you will meet about 95% of people along the way of your life that on average are very, very okay. You get along with them very well. And then statistically, over 5% of these beings, you might not want to hang out with. And that truth keeps expanding if we analyze, basically the norm of the universe. It's just standards out into 95-5 ratio. With more experience and with different levels of realities, it becomes better. When the universe realizes that it's just one gigantic organism, it becomes a lot nicer in the universe. Why people become, especially in the congressional level and so on, talk about the fear narrative, I would say that is a selection bias, and especially a selection bias that has to do a lot with congressional money, with a lot of how to set up these things and so on. But we can go into that in depth in just a moment.
For sure, and we will get into so much more. I mean, every time you mention a sentence, there's about 18 more questions that pop into my brain. So I'm blaming you for this tonight, Tim.
I'm doing my best here to not be blamed.
No, we have a wonderful night of radio going on here. What is going on behind the scenes? What is the relationship between aliens and humanity? 95% good, 5% bad. I would say the odds are in our favor. They really are. So next time you see an alien hanging on down the street, maybe at the beach, maybe at the pub, make sure you go say hi to them. Because likelihood, they're probably pretty darn good. This is Spaced Out Radio. We'll be right back. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. I'm just going to say this right now. This is freaking awesome. This is freaking awesome. Firestar, how you doing? Be right back, guys. All right, I'm back. All right. Oh, my audience is loving you, my friend. Loving you. Oh, let me get you off mute.
I like that.
There we
Thank
go.
you so much for letting me know. That's amazing. I can't see the actual comments right now, so it's all mirrored on my side.
Scabby, how you doing? Let's see here. Who else has joined us? Keyshawn, thanks for coming on in. It's your show at the moment, Tim Tactics. Woo us up, please. They're loving you.
Thank you so much. I'm enjoying this. This is a really interesting and nice conversation that we have.
Oh, yeah, we're having a blast here. Yeah, I'll tell you right now, I'm just going to demand it. This ain't going to be your only time on this show.
I hear that often, and I'm happy to come back. This is one of the shows that are really fun. Love it.
Beautiful. I'm just going to say thank you tonight to Caged on the Inside, A. Brock, Frankie B, Mel WD40, Cosmic Joe, and Galactic J for the super chats tonight. Greatly appreciate the love and support. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so check it on out. Sunmaster, welcome to SOR Chat. Good night. Welcome to SOR Chat. Paradox X, how you doing? Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Our guest, Tim Tactics, UFO researcher, spiritual recruiter. This guy's got great hair and a great shirt and tie combination. I know you can't see that in Radio Land, but you got to trust me on that. Hey, we got a great conversation going. We're going to continue it in a moment, but first we want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got? Ramey. Ramey is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. We got a great guest with us tonight. His name, Tim Tactics. Website, allshifthappily.now.com. If you want to check out, his podcast is also on Spotify. If you want to check it on out. It's a good one. This guy's great. You're going to love it if you're just tuning in. So let's get right to it. Tim, thank you so much for being here.
Dave, thank you so much. I'm really enjoying that. You do a fantastic job of creating this mystery atmosphere that I'm really enjoying too.
When you go back on your own experiences, how many different extraterrestrial or ultra-terrestrial species have you had contact with personally?
Fascinating questions. I was asked in the beginning when I came forward. I was asked by Gaia and other networks to count them, and I did. And I think we came to a number of like 17. But there is a difference in the depth of the encounters and the interactions. There are definitely some interactions that were repeatedly, like in the projects. We've had probably 100 times contact with the Greys, with the so-called Greys, and their presence on Earth and their interactions with Earth. And there are other very interesting and remarkable encounters that I had, for example, in the German Schwarzwald, the German Black Forest, where, I was privately there, and I got visited by 2 non-terrestrial life forms, which was a very remarkable moment as well.
Out of those 17 that you've seen, were they all different kinds of Greys? Were there humanoids? Were there mantid beings? What did you see? Oh,
there's a variety. The universe is a very a very exotic place in that regards. Clearly, the Greys, kind of smaller sized humanoid beings, long arms, long limbs, a torso that doesn't seem to be carrying their head, because their head is quite large cranium, large black almond-shaped eyes, just as much as pop culture is describing them. Those are mostly fiber-printed bodies as well. So we learn about the nature of their bodies. This aren't fully biological bodies anymore. Other beings can vary. I've seen transmissions, which is basically a word, a term for everything and anything that these agencies pick up on, that can range from acoustic signals to video signals. Some of the most fantastic technology that exists out there in the universe is for certain videos you do not need a camera, which is very interesting too. So certain ET species use the photonic level that is already storing video, and we can go into how that works, but it's a fascinating thing. So they don't even have a video camcorder in front of them. That is a very human thing, plugging in a cable and such, and they're recording themselves. So sometimes we got video messages. Usually I was not involved with insectoid beings, which is basically a large category of life forms out there too. There's a lot of insect life in the universe as well, but I've seen video transmissions of gigantic bugs, if you want to call it that way. There is indeed reptile life in the universe as well, beings that do have a snout, scale, very interesting species. Most of the time, reptilian life is very comparable in many ways to human life, which is one of the reasons why they are one of these types of species that do exist on and people have encounters with on planet Earth. But there's also very exotic life forms as well that just go into very different forms of life, and some of them, we're talking about a horizontal line of life forms, which is basically everything and anything in the universe that is comparable to the human level of reality and life, and shares certain major things in their reality that make them kind of like being in the horizontal line of life forms. But you also have vertical life forms, which are basically life forms that I would say have more experience. A lot of people would say they are like beings from the future, but that wouldn't fully describe what that is. It's basically beings that move on the level of experience in the universe, are basically in very exotic types of realities, but they are still connected to this planet too. And most often these beings are very, very beautiful, very nice, very loving. Anything that the human history relates to angels and the angelic realm and so on, that is definitely, there's definitely a component in there. Yeah.
I have seen personally 5 different types of grays. From the short guys to the tall guys, and I'll be honest with you, they all freak me the hell out. They do, and I can't imagine seeing that. Have you ever ran into human crossed hybrids?
Yeah, I've also seen a very sophisticated AI technology to the degree that the beings that were operating and were used, or the individuals that were used in those advanced programs, they were AI organic life forms, which is very interesting, because right now humanity is experiencing, next to all the disclosure stuff that is going on in mainstream media and media outlets at the moment, we're also experiencing contact with another intelligent form of life, which is AI. Still, it's not, humanity still is emotionally has not really reacted to how how fantastic that actually is. But the versions of AI that we see roll out right now to the public are nothing compared to the sophistication of the level of sophistication that governance programs have developed over time. So I've also talked to an AI life form that would look absolutely indistinguishable to any type of human being. And interestingly enough, these beings are used to program the AI that is being used in advanced programs. So AI beings that look like humans are kind of the head of the advanced AI programs. Isn't that fantastic?
That just sounds insane. Sounds insane. Are the ETs that you have contacted with, are they wanting any sort of disclosure to us, or are they allowing humanity to make that decision?
Both, I would say. First of all, we got to say that there is so much life in the universe, and there is quite a number of agendas out there. There's also beings that have no agenda. There's also beings that are not interested in humans. That is also something that happens. But ultimately, we have a lot of different agendas, nationally, supranationally, and even beyond in the universe. Ultimately, those beings that we categorize, especially, so-called invasive forms of ET life forms. Those are life forms that directly look for the contact with humanity. These are historically seen about 7 species that we've seen from the 1950s on. Species including the Greys, including beings that Roswell was about to. If you talk to senior level CIA agents that are retired, they will always say, yeah, we know about the ETs. There are 7 species out there. The number over 80 years is exponentially exploded, actually, the number of ET species that are out there. Those that are involved with humanity, they want disclosure. There are other species that might react very fierce if they would be mentioned. They don't like that at all, that type of publicity, but quite a lot of them would like to see that. And then you also have like life forms that just want to see the evolution of humanity into a nice and socially acceptable integrated part of the cosmic family and cosmic relations. So they want to see that happen more than they want to actually, see contact happening. They just want a certain type of mindset change happening on planet Earth.
When they come in, are we dealing with multidimensional species, or are we dealing with species from outside of our planet and into the universe?
Good question. We do have a horizontal line of reality and a vertical line. Horizontally is everything that shares the same elements of reality that humans share, which is gravitational fields, planetary spheres, is breathing certain components, gas, oxygen, or something like that. So all these things would fall under the category of horizontal life forms. And then we have vertical life forms, which are basically what you would call, interdimensional beings. It gets even more complex when we look into the phenomenon of the quantum universe having life forms outside of dimensions as well. Then it becomes very complex and very exotic. But yes, both of this is happening, and both of them are in their own way oftentimes connected. Always connected, but oftentimes interfering or interacting with humanity.
I'm going to jump back to the building where the pods were for a second. When these craft come in to drop off these species, where do they park their craft? Like, I know it's such a simple, monotone type question, but is there an airport for these? Do they cloak the craft? Do they put them underwater? How does that happen?
Yes. All of which you just mentioned, yes, to all of that. There exist spaceports. So a spaceport would be a designated point of entry into the human society, into the whatever nation is involved in that form. So spaceports exist, which is one of the reasons why you see certain lines of ETs, certain lines of UFOs, I mean, more often in certain regions. Certain regions have more UFO encounters traditionally than other regions and areas in the world. One of the reasons is because there might be a point of entry. Something that we gotta make as clear as possible is that most of the transport and most of the transactions and coming in and out is regulated. It is almost comparable to what TSA is doing at airports. There is usually a very regulated contractual situation when beings come in or go out. There is less rogue coming in and out that is not monitored, and especially not desired as well. There's certain military interest in keeping these things outside of the planet and figuring out what they have to deal with. However, they do occur. There is definitely species, and I've ran randomly into one species that was mostly interested in just piracy. So basically coming into planet Earth, taking advantage of the population not being 100% informed about things, and then basically robbing them like taking away candy from a baby that has no idea. These things fall under the illegal aliens, quite literally, and this is punishable in a way. It's not allowed in that way, and there are forces that take care of that these things don't happen in now times.
With one of your experiences on previous interviews, you mentioned about being number 6. What is this all about? Can you explain that one?
Oh, that's beautiful. That's basically after dealing with the Greys, which again, it's a fascinating culture. They have depth to their society that is just fascinating, incredible, and we could fill hundreds and hundreds of episodes of radio with just these insights. But the second program that the second project that I was in was exactly what you were saying with being 6, which is a translation that I've done into English. The correct form would probably be more life form 6, but I think being 6 is a much more appropriate way of calling them. It's a so-called interfrequential life form. That is a very exotic form of life that we, even as humans or beings or whatever, we on this horizontal line at one point very likely will achieve or grow into. It is basically a form of life on a higher frequential level of the universe. And I want to explain what that means. The universe has this, first of all, the universus means one directed towards itself. So the universe is just one gigantic organism. There's just one organism, just as much as a body as one body, one organism. Inside of that body, there's a lot of stuff going on, right? There's a lot of life that is going on inside of your body. The same stuff happens on a much larger scale in the universe as well. The universe is intelligent. It is evolving as well. It is oftentimes evolving through individual life forms, which happens on this version of reality. There are other versions of reality as well. And being 6 was, and the universe is stacking realities upon each other, because ultimately, if you look into the one-point field, the underlying field of the universe, the Max Planck field or whatever you want to call it, there is only one point that stretches into infinity. So in order to make it possible that life forms coexist at the very same location, the universe does this wonderful trick and arranges them in certain frequencies in certain different patterns, which then forms a horizontal line of reality, just as much as you in Canada have a horizontal line of reality that is very shareable with me in Europe. That is one of the reasons why we can talk about these things. What the universe is then doing is like it's arranging and stacking these levels in certain different frequencies, just as much as someone could but should not right now use the knob and turn to a different radio station by just changing the frequencies. These things exist at the same time. So highly complex, but and something that took 80 years in order to get this project into success. But we finally made contact with that life form, and it was probably one of the most beautiful moments in my life, because at that level of reality, the individual limitations that people experience on this plane of existence fall away. We realize that we are one life form. We realize that we are at the same time connected to making and creating our own reality, which then makes good things and better things our own responsibility of just receiving and requesting these things for ourselves, which is an amazing thing. It means that anything that is beautiful in life we can give to ourselves in a very practical manner. And as you can think, someone who lives in that type of reality has a very joyful and very appreciable and very nice life.
3 minutes ago, before we have to go to break, did the being enter you? Were you able to feel it? Did it channel through you?
Well, so the situation was that, once again, I was in this type of container. There are certain coils that are used in order to bring the frequential realm in such a vibration that you can actually have contact with these beings. Being 6 was deeply connected to some of the beings and the philosophies that ancient civilizations had tapped into. So there is a connection to that being, to humanity, for centuries, for thousands of years. What I saw was a blue crystal geometrical fractal being that was so crisp, Dave, something that would make anything perceivable in this realm look very dull and almost like when you go back and watch a football game from 1992, which at that time you thought was so crystal clear on your stereo sound TV. And now you look at it from your new television with 8K and super, graphics, and you basically see that it was like reality back then was super blurry. That is how I perceived this being, and how I actually saw it, as like a moving fractal blue crisp light.
What color blue?
I would point towards my background, but that type of blue. It was a very crystal blue color. The reason for that is actually, and we've seen. I hope I can answer that before the next break comes. But if we go back thousands of years, we have historical evidence that people were in contact with beings of blue skin. Right? We have these things in India. We have these things happening in Sumeria, all over the world, Mexico, Mayan people, and so on. They all have these statues with blue-skinned beings. These beings belong to that family of life forms that have given a lot of the traditions and a lot of the wisdom and so on. The reason for that is physically explained, because the universe has a tendency to be divided in certain colors. And as you may know, and I hope, again, that's a lot of physics, but I'm breaking that down in 30 seconds. The universe, every color is associated with a certain level of frequency, right? Certain frequencies produce red, blue, yellow, and so on. So if we enhance and change the frequential realm in order to make contact with this being, we stretch the frequential level of these of the photon colors, and then we have blue. And that was a very technical thing down in like 20 seconds.
Love it. One more half hour Tim Tactics on Spaced Out Radio.
Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
The reason why I asked what color blue was for two reasons. Number one, when I got it on April 15th, 2014, when I got called outside by a UFO, it was about a 20 to 30 foot tall, large blue cylinder. And it was still the most beautiful blue I've ever seen. It was a little darker than police light blue, emergency police light blue. And then a few years ago, I got a call from a friend of mine at 3:33 in the morning. And I answered the phone. The phone hung up. He phoned right back. I answer the phone again. He hangs up. I call him. It goes to voicemail. He calls again. And all I hear is doot, doot, doot. Just like that. Doot, doot, doot. And immediately I am filled with that logo right there.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, look at that. Who knows, Dave? Maybe that has brought us together tonight.
And it came in every different color.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And the funny part about it is when my friend called me back the next morning, he said, Dave, I never called you. My phone has no record of calling you.
Wow.
He goes, are you sure it was my number? I sent him a screenshot of the times when his phone rang mine.
So you had records on your phone?
I had the records on my phone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, what did you make out of that?
Well, recently I had Jack Sarfati on the show, and I asked him about it. And, what kind of diamond did he call it? There was a certain type of diamond that he called it. And it was about he believes it was about a relationship with my contact and consciousness coming together. What the hell kind of diamond did he call it?
Tesseract?
I'm sorry?
Was it a tesseract or something like that?
No. It was something scientific.
Well, I don't know. I can't tell. But that sounds very significant. That's interesting.
I may have Penrose diagram causal diamond.
Doesn't ring something to me, but yeah. The story is remarkable. I tell you that. That's really interesting.
It's one of the ones that still blows me away.
Yeah, I mean, no wonder you're tapping into all these exotic phenomena.
Oh, it was crazy. I still have to get that tattooed on me. So.
Oh, so you want to tattoo that on? Yeah, well, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna look like a necklace on the neck of an alien gray.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I like that. Whenever you do that, send me a photo. It depends on where you want to have that tattooed. Please take that into consideration.
It'll be on my shoulder.
Oh, that's okay. I take a photo of that.
Yeah, it'll be on my shoulder.
Oh, that's fascinating. So you take a gray and then combine it with that fractal. That's actually, I mean, if you compare that to my story, that would be the same tattoo that I would get tattooed as well, because you have the fractal blue crystal being, and you have the gray. That is 100% of what I did in these programs. So I could one-on-one use that tattoo as well.
Hold on right there, because we're about to come back in about 35, 40 seconds. Thank you tonight to Deborah Rooney, Joe, Mel WD40, Caged on the inside, A. Brock, and Frankie B. Really appreciate the love and support of Spaced Out Radio. Don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? We do not have ugly swag. There's no ugly swag there. You can wear our stuff out in public, whether it's dinner, to the bar, to a concert, to your grandma's house. You can put it anywhere. And we're going to get going here in about 7 seconds. We're already in the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Hard to believe this one's flying on by. My name is Dave Scott. Our guest is Tim Tactics, and we're going to get to him momentarily. But first, I want to remind all of you that if you missed any part of this show, make sure you check out our archives, because this one's incredible. Our archives are always free. Why? Because I want them that way. I like them that way. So they are free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Tim Tactics, his website, allshifthappily.now.com. You can find his podcast on Spotify as well. Tim, thank you so much for being here. It's been truly a pleasure in getting to have this conversation with you.
Thank you so much. I agree. It's a fantastic night and very interesting thing. And the pause, the break, we actually talked about your experience, and you were talking about a tattoo. I hope I can talk about that, because you were thinking about a gray wearing a little necklace that has a blue fractal diamond, and you had that idea before you talked to me, and I said, like, that's pretty remarkable, because that summarizes my story 100%, and it might be the reason why you and I have that fantastic conversation tonight.
100%. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one 100%. What I like to do in this half hour is go to some audience questions here that have built up in our YouTube chat that is always live. And if you're listening on radio, you could join it at any time. We're going to start off with Caged here, who is asking you, what made you cry in your parents' basement? What did you discover?
That's a deep question. My goodness. There is a lot of stuff on planet Earth where humans are not nice to each other, to be very honest. I can't go into any details. I couldn't even talk to my parents about it. I think the whole situation was a lot. There was a lot of information that I got access to, a lot of things that just, overloaded my empathy and made me cry. And it was way before Edward Snowden. It was actually, I think, a year before Edward Snowden or so came forward. I was already aware of his stuff as well. And so which is one of the reasons why I actually cried in the basement. The whole situation was very emotional. It's just there's humanity sometimes is very mean to itself and life, or used to be, it was quite a lot of stuff that I got insights to. I do know that over time, the good thing about that is humanity is evolving as well. There are smart beings, way more experienced beings now in these programs compared to 50 years ago. less traumatized. A lot what the generation before you and the generation before your dad has done to the planet and set up in certain ways. It comes just from trauma. It's just passing on trauma over generations. War trauma and different other things. And those things, not having anyone on planet Earth to talk about these things, that felt like quite a lot in those moments. And especially in the later phase of those programs, I found myself oftentimes crying about these things. I'm being very honest here.
It can be emotional and overwhelming. And that's, right at the beginning when I asked you that question about your own emotions, about what you learned and everything, I find that, as a human, you can only take so much before you finally have that breakdown moment.
Yeah, I agree, especially if it feels overwhelming in a certain way. I gotta also say, and we haven't approached and talked about that yet, which is okay because we're going into mysteries. But the reason why the policies of the Pentagon have changed, why people are now talking about UFOs, why we have whistleblowers and so on, that all comes from the fact that we are entering a new type of cosmic season. So everything in this version of the universe has cycles, just as much as day, night, summer, winter, and so on. There are cycles in the cosmic scale as well. And these cycles have brought dramatic situations in the last cycle. If we think about the biblical flood, that is factual. There is a lot of truth to that, a lot of truth to the change of the magnetic field of planet Earth, and so on and so on. And we are in this phase as well. So I was with being 6 and also the Greys. These beings kind of like announced to us and said, hey, there's a change coming, there is a season change coming, and usually a species has 15,000 years in order to prepare for that. You guys have about 15 years now left to get it all together. And if you scale that down, that would be as if there's a hurricane coming to Florida and people would be informed about 1 second before it hits their house. That's the dramatic situation that we were facing back in that time. And there was no way that at that time it seems like all these players would not come to a conclusion in order to act upon something, because they had all their individual interests and not a lot in common. That was the situation back then.
All right, let's go to Nicole here. Is this facility that... Oh, no, I asked you that one earlier. I apologize. Let's go to this one from Nicole. Did the gray that you saw always look like a gray, or could it or any NHI change its appearance?
So Greys have a very sophisticated way of designing their own bodies. They design these bodies for whatever planetary situation or even non-planetary situation they encounter. So the term that humanity has given the species of saying they are Greys is not completely justified, because that is only due to the nature of the coloration of their skin. That is only true for Greys that appear on this planet, just because they have a specific configuration that makes them look gray. They do have the same looking print that is that in various colors, in bronze colors, in purple colors, in green colors. They exist as well, and they operate in different environments and have even different operational duties to that. So usually all these things look the bodies look 100% the same. They're all kind of like, because they are all fiber printed. They are not organically grown, so they do not allow for any type of genetic, Merkmale would be the biology word in German, patterns or whatever you want to call it. So there are no distinguishable differences between these bodies. One consciousness can operate one gray consciousness can operate multiple bodies too. Which is a different. It's an interesting thought for humans to think about that grays can be in multiple bodies at the very same time and perceiving through multiple of these bodies because they're all in line, or put in line, basically. That can happen as well. So yes, the individual that I was talking to, the body that I was talking to, sometimes 2 bodies, sometimes 3 bodies in the same room, in the same container, same height, same look, same genetical buildup.
All right, let's go to Mike here. Does each container I may have asked that one already. I apologize. I don't screen my questions. I just bring them on. And so we'll just bring this one here. Xanos is asking, do the NHI use any form of currency, or do they not need it when they come down here?
You got to help me with
are
with
they
that.
bringing gifts with them? Are they bringing things to trade? Any type of currency with them?
Yeah. Okay. So in the beginning of the traditionally, when humans were encounter a lot of the stuff that happens in the Western world comes down to Roswell, 1947, especially in the American culture region, Canada included, because they are kind of like allies to your southern neighbors. So a lot of the stuff that happens around them originated in 1947 when Roswell happened. The US was then tapping into basically what we call advanced realities, which is the idea that this is a quantum universe and the idea that there is life everywhere. There's technology that is very exotic and so on. So they basically made a quantum jump in 1947. And oftentimes that would lead to more encounters, which you basically know someone who has one ET encounter suddenly taps into more fantastic stuff in their lives. Usually it's not a single occasion where people are running into something. Usually something else then follows along, and the more open they are, the more they open themselves up, and the more interesting they become, the more they are contacted. So that is the truth and the reality that happens in the 1950s. Suddenly species, these so-called seven species in the 1950s were then contacting and basically appearing on site in the US in certain facilities. Doesn't matter that they were super remote, doesn't matter that there is security. They usually didn't take the front entrance. They would just open something and just be in the middle of the scene. And then the military personnel would then have to deal with their confusion and surprise. And after some shocking moments, that would then lead to conversations. And then these beings would come up with, hey, if you want to trade something and do something nice for us, we're going to do something nice for you and help you with whatever. You name it.
All right, let's go to another question here. Let us go to Mike here. Apparently there is a race out there that looks exactly like humans but have blue skin. Have you seen them?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of beings that have different skin colors. There is, if you think about, for example, being 6 as a life form, usually whatever we are seeing, beings that see being 6 usually see a blue-skinned being. For me, it was a fractal crystal, which is kind of interesting that, again, you've had that experience and you even connected that to the gray, which is that's a very, very remarkable thing, even for me. But there are beings that have different skin colors. There are blue-skinned beings. Yeah. Yeah. What else can I say? Yes.
It works. Let's just go with it. Let's go to MJ. Why are there hybridization programs between humans and ETs?
That's a good question, MJ. Thank you so much. There are hybridization programs that started with ET beings seeding hybrids. in order to make contact, because just as much as I've explained before, there's a horizontal line of realities which basically swaps in everything that that kind of like is comparable to the human reality, and contact. There's something about the human condition. Humans love beings that look kind of the same as they do. That gives them a good feeling, and that gives them a good feeling of communicating with them. So being in that type of body and looking appreciable and nice is something that ETs have learned helps humans to contact with ETs. So their first programs were trying to build hybrids, and just as much as any type of generation, every first generation of inventions needs some adjustments. The first hybrids were still kind of exotic. So when we go back into the 50s again, ET human hybrids that were seeded here in order to bring communication forward, they wouldn't walk down the any normal street of your regular town. Nowadays hybrids, you would not recognize them. They can be with you in Disney World, and for sure they are, because that is apparently something they are interested as well. And you would normally, a human would not have a feeling of, oh, I'm currently talking to an ET being, just because they are very, very comparable, very well integrated. And usually the human condition also comes with that feature that the brain only selects certain realities that kind of like fall out of the normal and out of the ordinary in order to cause reactions. So basically, I assume that a lot of your viewers and listeners might have seen a hybrid somewhere in their cities and might have not realized that, because it can happen.
Let's go over to Joe here. Where are you from in Germany? In the army, I was stationed in Hanau and Wiesbaden Army Airfield.
I can't actually. On my side, everything is mirrored, so I can't read these comments. So I'm not 100%. Dave's German is not 100% the way that I would perceive and realize where these cities are. So I'm not 100% sure what you actually said, but the western part of Germany is basically where I'm coming from. But again, I moved out of Germany for various reasons after coming forward, and that's. I mean, the whole center of Europe is very interconnected, and a lot of these programs that we're talking about are shared nationally, internationally, and supranationally as well.
When you left Germany, were you asked, or you said you left for specific reasons? You know, obviously that has to entail with your work life and this topic. Were you asked to leave because of speaking out, or did you leave for your own safety?
No, I left because again, for multiple reasons, but one of them is just that Germany is strategically in a spot in Europe where there is a lot of tensions going on, because it's in the middle of Europe. And again, we are talking about a very transformative time that we are currently heading towards, which means that a lot of things will be changing. A lot of systems are currently changing. I think it is very interesting that even people that might not connect the dots correctly, even those people realize that something is that this is a remarkable time. There's a lot of unprecedented stuff happening, even on Normstream News. And one of the reasons for me to get out of Germany is was exactly those planetary changes, and also because the national level is again responsible of bringing forward disclosure. And since I'm not officially sanctioned to do what I'm doing, I'm just encouraged to do what I'm doing. There's instances in Germany that have to take care and have to prepare their population. Interestingly enough, Germany is still the last country in the Western world that says it has absolutely, completely no interest at all in the universe and or other life forms.
Weird. So weird. All right, let's go to Sierra. Do you know of any abductees that ever died from being abducted that you know of?
I do know that we had contractors that died on the spot by just seeing some of the technology that are hidden away from the public eye. And that is how severe the damage of the nervous system can be by just a minor thing as watching a disc-shaped object flash and zoom into the sky in about a millisecond or so. People would just drop off and fall dead to the ground by just looking at that. Why? Because they are not military or prepared for that situation. They were just people that are businessmen that are looking for certain operational, certain techniques, certain technology. And people have learned that the hard way, that just by watching something fly, just by seeing a UFO in real time, that can cause such a severe damage to the nervous system of a human that person could, fall to the ground and be dead. That's one of the reasons why some of the stuff is being hidden away from the general public, up to the point where people can take these things in. I want to give you another example of that, Dave, because I see you're very astonished, because that's a lot to take in. But if you go back to the first movie that was ever shown to the public, or one of the first movies, it was a black and white, extremely blurry and bad recording, without any music, without anything, no 3D at all, just a black and white, shaky movie of a train that enters a train station. And this was shown in one of the first public cinemas back in that day. And it caused a mass panic of people collapsing, stomping over each other, ripping themselves apart to just get out of the cinema as fast as possible, because they believed that this black and white train that is so shaky and unnoticeable would slam into the building. That is how their nervous system reacted back in the days. And now think about a technology that is so sophisticated that it would break your understanding and your comprehension of reality, that can make so much with human nervous systems that it is advised to not bring that to the public in that way.
One final question for you from our audience tonight, and we will go to Mel WD40 here. What ET freaked you out the most?
I had to learn the hard way that I consider everyone in the universe friendly, to be honest. I think that we're all on a level of being friends, but some friends need a little bit of time off and a little bit of distance to develop themselves to a point where they are able to receive friendship. There are certain species that are known for that have evolved around fear tactics. They have evolved around being scary. So if you think about some of the little reptilians, little reptiles and lizards on this planet that have this type of now what's the English word for that? This type of thing that they open up when they want to scare a bigger opponent. They like stand there and open their snout, and they have these different techniques in order to make themselves bigger and scarier than they might actually be. So some species in this universe have evolved around that, noticing that, when they scare other beings in the universe, they are very likely to be unharmed. They are very likely to get their will. And they also get, at a certain point, a certain neurological satisfaction from doing these things. So there are certain species, or there is at least there is certain species that are very developed and have quite joy in being scary. And I gotta say that encounter was something that brings me far away from them.
Tim, thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio. We appreciate you. Swamp Dweller and Little Timmy James are next.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear. One question from Deb off the air. Do the aliens require you to dress for dinner like this?
The aliens wouldn't care. I often thought about me sitting in a funny bear costume or whatever would not make a single difference to a gray being. But being in these environments, you will receive a lot of pressure that it is the common protocol to wear a suit. So you have to wear a suit in order to honor the protocol and the tradition of these agencies.
My friend, I appreciate you. You're amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you too, Dave.
We're going to try and get you on here again soon, okay? So that way we can continue this amazing conversation.
Of course, I'm happy to do so.
All right. You take care. Enjoy your day, okay?
I'm going to bed now. It's quite late here. But thank you very much, Dave.
All right. Take care.
You too.
Tim Tactics, everybody. How awesome was he? We'll be right back. Oh, we got like 25 seconds. Look at that. Oh, perfect timing. Thank you tonight to Deborah Rooney, Frankie, Mel, Joe J, A. Brock, and Caged on the inside for the wonderful super chats. This is going to be fun. Going to be fun, people. And here we go. All right, here comes hour number 3 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott, and we're going to pack this next hour. Absolutely. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Ramey is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. I grew up in rural Oregon, with around 70 acres of wooded private property as my personal playground. By the time I was 16 years old, I'd spent countless hours exploring every foot I could, and have never experienced anything more unpleasant than poison oak and more than a few blackberry scratches. Oddly, there was one small portion of the property I had never explored. I could not really tell you why I had never gone to this little corner, but I just never did. It was like an unconscious choice to just never go there. There was an old trail that went there, but I don't know, I guess it just never came up. One afternoon, I got the itch to turn left and follow that trail, however. The day was bright and warm. Nothing was sketchy or untoward. However, within the first 50 feet of the trailhead, I felt an overwhelming need to stop in my tracks. It was like, as I stood there, I was stepping into a sticky mousetrap. My feet simply would not carry me any further. As I stood there, every hair on my body stood on end, and I felt sick to my stomach with dread. I spun in place, looking in every direction for whatever danger my whole body was telling me was present. The spot where I stood was a bit of a clearing in the tree. I had around 20 or so feet of total visibility in all directions, and further in some. There was nothing, not a bird or a bug. I've never felt such utter terror and desire to go full knees to chest for the hills. I made my way back to the trailhead as fast as I could possibly backpedal. And the second my feet left the trail, it all faded. My hair went back down, my stomach settled, and zero sense of unease. It was like stepping out of a room and closing the door. For years, I wondered what kind of presence I had encountered. Many naysayers tried to tell me it was probably a cougar, and it was just my sixth sense picking up on it. But I'm not buying it. Then, in talking with my parents one day, who used to wander that property when they were dating a few decades ago, I found out they had come across the remnants of an old homestead there. It had deteriorated to the point there was nothing left but the outline of a foundation and some old medicine bottles. I had a light bulb moment. It seems that maybe one of the homesteaders was still there, and I was trespassing. I've had short-lived moments of temptation where I thought about going back there and seeing if I could replicate the experience. In all honesty, though, whatever was there was way too dark for me to ever want to encounter it again. It seems best left alone.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another creepy story. If you want more just like that, as Swampy kicks off hour number 3 each and every night, head on over to his YouTube channel, youtube.com/Swamp Dweller, and hit subscribe, ring that bell. He's got thousands of stories for you just like that. Time for the report.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
Jerry in our chat room puts, Dave might have sex appeal, but information is a must. Is he telling me about my ruggedly handsome good looks? Or is he insulting me that I don't provide enough information? I don't know what to do here. Yeah. By the way, you know, as we move forward after the last couple of hours of this great show,
Yes.
you know, we want to say thank you to all the agents and agencies who are tuning on in tonight, listening in to this wonderful broadcast with Tim Tactics. You know, give us a call sometime. Just say hello. You already have the phone number. We don't need to give it to you back.
Nope.
You know, so just give us a call, say hi, and just tell us how you like the show. I think that's fair to ask.
They're very reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good. How about you?
Well, I'm coming into the night a little bit upset.
Oh.
I am. And I should tell you why.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's going on?
I should tell you why. My son and I play a game of mini stick hockey every night.
Right.
And because I'm addicted, and he's now addicted, probably shouldn't be because probably a little young to watch Shoresy.
Oh, no.
Okay. But on Shoresy, every time they win,
Mm-hmm.
all the players get a drumstick.
Yep.
They call them sticks.
Yep.
So my son and I decided that we were going to play for sticks.
Oh, no. Oh, no. I know
He's 7-0 against me.
I was going to say, I know where this is going.
I want a drumstick, man.
It's still no drumstick for Dave.
Still no drumstick for Dave.
Oh, sorry.
I want one of them drumsticks. They look really good. And he has the nerve to, you know, lounge back in his chair. You know, he lounges back in his chair, you know, feet up. He's got his iPad while he's eating a stick. And I'm like, you little rat. You rat.
Oh, I can see him doing it, too.
And I just sit there and I got to leave the room because he tortures me. I will say something cool, though, about my boy today.
Mm-hmm.
I took him for a haircut to the bearded barber
Oh,
in
yes.
town.
Yeah.
And this is like really old school barber shop.
Yes.
And he does a kid's shave.
Oh, okay.
So without the blade.
Yep.
He did, you know, he did the haircut, then without the blade,
Mhm.
he lathers up the skin and does a full face massage with the hot towels and the cold towels, and
Very nice.
and then does the shave without the blade.
Yeah.
My son thought that was absolutely incredible.
That's right.
Absolutely incredible. He's like, Dad, those towels were so warm. So warm.
Yeah. Well, now what's going to happen is he's going to, what do you want to do today, son? Let's go for a cut and a shave.
I'm okay with that.
Right? That's awesome.
I'm okay with that. I introduce him inside the barbershop. They have an old Miss Pac-Man game.
Oh, no way. Holy
Yes,
cow.
they do. And I introduced him to Miss Pac-Man today.
Oh, no.
He didn't understand what the joystick was.
No.
He had no clue.
Mm-mm.
I'm like, son, Dad was like 7 when this came out.
Welcome to the 80s.
Yes. Welcome to the 80s, my boy. Welcome to the 80s.
That's
I
awesome.
still want one of them drumsticks. though.
No, really.
Yeah.
Well, he's sleeping. You can probably go up there.
I'm gonna guarantee you after the show, I'm gonna totally eat one of those sticks.
Attaboy.
Anniversary night tonight.
Yes, it is. And happy anniversary. Oh, no, you meant something
No,
else. Oh,
I
okay.
didn't drink the Kool-Aid.
No, you didn't. So this is the anniversary of dun, 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 Heaven's Gate. So this was what, 1997 when this unfortunate incident happened. So Heaven's Gate was an American new religious movement founded in the 1970s and is infamous for orchestrating the largest mass unliving on U.S. soil. So on March of 1997, 39 members, including their head leader, Marshall Applewhite, were found unalive in a mansion in Rancho Santa Fe, California, clad in identical black tracksuits and Nike sneakers. They ingested a lethal mixture of phenobarbital and vodka. Believing this act would allow their souls to board an alien spacecraft trailing the Hale-Bopp comet and ascending to a higher plane of existence known as the next level. By the way, the Nike sneakers were discontinued after this event because morbid collector's items, people were buying these shoes as collector's items for this terrible thing. So Nike quit with the shoes. So the origins and the founders. So Heaven's Gate emerged from a meeting of two people, Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles. Applewhite was born in Texas and was the son of a Presbyterian preacher, a talented musician and singer, and pursued careers in academia and performance before struggled with personal turmoil. In 1972, after a near-death experience and being dismissed from a teaching position, he met Nettles, a nurse with a deep interest in astrology, biblical prophecy, and UFOs. Nettle was a mother of four who believed she had spiritual connection to extraterrestrial forces. Together, the two bonded over shared mystical inclinations, interpreting their meeting as divine or divinely ordained. They saw themselves as the two witnesses prophesied in the book of Revelations, tasked with preparing humanity for an extraterrestrial salvation. But by 1974, they had founded a group initially called Human Individual Metamorphosis, blending Christianity, New Age spirituality, and ufology. So as they got this rolling, they gained traction among spiritual seekers in California and Oregon. They preached the human bodies were mere containers to be shed for higher extraterrestrial existence. Promising a UFO would soon rapture their followers to the kingdom of heaven, they attracted hundreds of individuals, many from countercultural or New Age backgrounds, seeking meaning beyond traditional religion. That year, they convinced 20 people in Oregon to abandon their families and possessions and join them in Colorado. By 1976, the group adopted a monastic lifestyle, ceasing active recruitment and focusing on internal discipline. Their theology evolved, emphasizing celibacy and rejection of human desires, with Applewhite and Nettles as the sole conduits to the divine truth. So a significant turning point in 1985 when Nettles died of cancer. Her death challenged the group's core belief that true followers would physically ascend in their bodies. Applewhite adapted the doctrine, heightening the distinction between body and soul, claiming Nettles has ascended spiritually to the next level and awaiting them there. So the catalyst for the Heaven's Gate tragic end was the discovery of the Hale-Bopp comet in 1995. As it approached Earth in 1997, rumors spread within UFO communities, amplified by radio talk show hoax, that an alien spacecraft trailed it. Applewhite seized on this, declaring it the long-awaited sign of their departure. He taught that Earth was due for recycling, and the unliving was the only way to shed their earthly vehicles and join Nettles on the spacecraft. In 1997, Hale-Bopp reached its closest point to Earth, and the group meticulously planned their exit. Over 3 days, they committed unaliveness in waves. 15, then 9, assisting each other with the lethal concoction. Each member wore a uniform of black tracksuit, Nike Decade sneakers, and an armband reading Heaven's Gate Away Team. Each of them carried $5.75 in their pocket, possibly symbolic of cosmic bus fare, so to speak. And then following that, in March, police were tipped off anonymously by former members Rio D'Angelo, discovered the bodies laying peacefully on a bunk beds covered in purple shrouds. Heaven's Gate's history is cautionary tale of charisma belief and the search for transcendence gone awry. From its hopeful beginnings to its grim conclusion, it reflects the extreme human longing for meaning in an uncertain world. 28 years later. The event remains a haunting milestone in American religious history and a reminder of a thin line between faith and fanaticism.
There's a lot to undo on that one.
Right? There is.
Number one, Art Bell,
Mm-hmm.
the late, great Art Bell, the
Right.
man, the myth, and the legend, all rolled into one.
Mm-hmm.
He was blamed for this.
Oh, really? I didn't know
He
that.
was the one blamed for this. And in fact, there were a number of people who tried to sue him over it because of his talking about their claims to be a UFO flying behind Comet Hale-Bopp.
Okay.
Okay. And Art, obviously there was never a case that went, the other way, but
Sure.
but he was talking about being sued over that.
Wow. Okay.
By the victims' families and all of that. I mean, that is just horrific. I mean, but that's the power of nighttime radio.
Yeah.
Okay. And somebody with legend status of Art Bell. Side note,
Mm-hmm.
in their our first commercial break going into our second half hour, you hear the thunder.
Yes.
That's our tribute to Art Bell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got
Many
it.
people don't know that, but that's why we do it.
That's cool.
But Art Bell was the one who was blamed for that.
He was the
Allegedly.
hoaxer. Yeah.
It's kind of like musicians who were blamed for,
Oh, yes.
unalivings of certain mass
Yes.
takings.
Yeah.
Shall we say?
Yeah.
As we play with the algorithms of what we can and cannot say in this unedited free speech world.
That's right. That's
Right.
right.
So it was sad that they did that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It was sad that they did that. It was sad that he was able to control that many people.
Yeah.
And, Nike also as you mentioned, got a very black eye on this because they were actually using the slogan leading up to this, just do it,
Mm-hmm.
as a pump up speech to taking the poison vodka
Yeah.
and drinking the Kool-Aid, as they say.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And so Nike, as you said, I didn't know that they actually banned or discontinued the running shoes after that because of that event. But I mean, it just goes to show, how grotesque some people are that, oh, this happened, so I'm going to go buy the runners.
Yeah.
Or pardon me, American language, sneakers. For that.
That's true. No, that is, I never knew that about the Art Bell story. That's very interesting. Huh.
Yeah, but it's sad. And the sad part about it is it was also a very big black eye for the UFO community because everything that led up to that, including the Phoenix Lights,
Right.
which happened just a week and a half before,
Mm-hmm.
okay, 2 weeks before, Marshall Applewhite took that as a sign.
Yes.
He took that as a major sign that mothership was following Comet Hale-Bopp. So it is very sad that, it led to that and everything, that, 39 souls lost their lives over craziness.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this story just transcends so much religious fanaticism, ufology fanaticism. And, we tend to throw around a lot of these terms like cults and everything very, very loosely these days with a lot of other nicknames and monikers that shouldn't be used.
Yes.
But in this case, it gave a real big black eye to the UFO community where the mainstream public thought that we were all a bunch of wingnuts. We were all cuckoo. We were all crazy.
Yeah.
Tinfoil hat conspiracy theory driven people.
Yes.
And unfortunately, that isn't the case.
No,
That isn't the case at all. But when it hits the mainstream public like that, ufology took a very, very deep hit on that.
for sure.
We got about 3.5 minutes before we go to break. What do you want to start here?
No, that's not a problem. Lou's back in the news. So Mr. Elizondo, he was interviewed recently, or on the weekend, I guess. So as the story goes, the leading whistleblowers claim that UFOs have the ability to interfere with nuclear weapons. Lou Elizondo, former United States Army counterintelligence officer and the employee of the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense, has been vocal with his claim about knowledge of aliens and UFO encounters with the U.S. government. His latest claim, however, backs up what has previously been said by other experts and whistleblowers and could prove to be the downfall of humanity. Elizondo, when speaking to news outlet CNN, claimed that aliens have the ability to mess with the country's nuclear weapon system. He said, these things are coming into controlled U.S. airspace completely unchallenged and are conducting what we consider is perhaps some sort of reconnaissance on our military, but more importantly, may even have the capability to interfere with our nuclear strike capabilities. These phenomena are occurring in the vicinity of sensitive military government installations. That's not Lou Elizondo's telling you that your government's telling you this. Now the government's finally coming forward, fortunately. So they're actually starting to back up a lot of what I've been saying for the last 7 years. Thank God. I think some people are beginning to wise up. His comments come just 6 months after renowned researcher Robert Hastings said that if extraterrestrial beings existed, they seem to be greatly interested in our nuclear weapons. While some have claimed sightings of UFOs and UAPs near nuclear sites could be reconnaissance for potential invasion, and he believes there are a few different theories. Dun, dun, dun. You okay, Dave? Thought you'd like that one.
I don't usually like dead air on radio.
I know.
But
yeah,
there is no threat.
I know. 95%.
Look at that. The invasion is happening. We're preparing for the invasion.
Right.
Where?
I don't know. And 95% of them are okay, though.
You have scientists who are claiming that they have no understanding of where these craft are coming from.
Right.
Are they time travelers? Are they different dimensions? Are they coming from space? If you know an invasion is imminent, you know where the source is coming from.
You would think.
Right?
Yeah.
If the Chinese invaded
sure
North America, we may know about it. We may know. You know? And look, I like Lou.
I know. Yeah.
Okay, I do. But there's two ways to look at this. It's either the same message that he keeps spewing, or it's the way the journalists are writing it. Because that right there, they've been going to the nuclear facilities since the 60s.
Right.
We know that. We know that they seem to have an interest in that. But we've developed this fear tactic off of one incident.
Right.
One incident that we know of. Is it continuing? Are they continuing to turn the nuclear power switches on and off? Preparing for launch on and off like they did with Russia? We're going to continue this conversation when we return to UFO Report.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything.
Yeah. How about them Oilers?
I could go for a Big Mac right now.
Or a stick.
I'll take a stick. That's for sure. I got to sneak those.
I know. I was going to say. So you got to count. Got an inventory.
All right.
That was a 12-pack. I ate 7. What's going on?
You know the cheapest place to find sticks are in this town?
No.
99 Mile.
Oh, of course. Why didn't they even? Yeah.
99 Mile.
Yeah.
You go here, they're $10 a box.
Yeah.
99 Mile, they're $5.83.
Yeah. Owner's super cool. I like him.
John's a good guy.
Yeah.
Very good guy. Data, how are you? They're caramel too, eh?
No.
Yeah, they're caramel.
Oh,
caramel
damn.
inside.
That
Yeah.
just changed it, brought it to a whole different level.
Mhm.
Mm.
Vengeance over on Twitch, how are you?
What is Nicole saying?
Okay, if we could, and Nicole brings up a good point.
Yes.
She says Tactic Tim said only 5% are bad and the pirating, because we have space pirates.
Arr.
Arr. And she goes, I'm thinking the other 95% makes that threat little less than concerning. Now,
Right.
if 95, okay, so let's take this.
All right.
For instance,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to use Canada as an example here.
Okay.
Let's say Russia decided to invade Canada.
Okay.
Is it Canada versus Russia? Or is it Canada versus, or Russia versus Canada, the United States, Mexico, Spain, Portugal, Australia, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, France, Italians, and everyone else?
Yeah. It would
I'm
be...
pretty, and I bring up that example that I'm pretty sure if 95% of these species want humanity to succeed,
Mhm.
that if the bad guys did come, and I'm not saying there aren't bad guys out there,
Sure.
but if the bad guys did come, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't let us get our ass handed to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before helping out.
Yeah. For sure. I get where you're going. No. 95% are
Just for the record, we may have a small military, Jerry, but we're 10-0.
We're
We're 10-0. And who suffered 2 of those losses?
Oh,
hey ho.
Oh, sorry. Hey man, we just light it on fire and run.
God, I love the U.S.
Yeah, me too.
It's amazing.
Me
It
too.
is amazing.
You got me thinking about caramel ice cream. Why I oughta.
You want some sticks now, don't you?
No, actually, I want a bowl of it.
Caramel ice cream's good.
I love it.
Have you tried the Shark Attack ice cream that you can get from
No.
108?
No.
You might want to.
Oh, well, dang. All
And
right.
And the cotton candy?
Oh, I can't stand cotton candy, man.
Oh, you're a sick bastard.
I know that's what yes.
How do you not like cotton candy?
I don't know.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Don't even like the real stuff. I don't like anything that tastes like cotton candy. No.
Are you ill?
I'm actually feeling quite fine today, Dave. Thank you.
You think you know someone.
Well, it's like pineapple on pizza. Who does that?
I do. I like that.
See?
I like that.
Put cotton candy on it too. God damn. I don't know.
You
man.
think you know someone.
That's right.
You think you know someone, and then all of a sudden they drop the bullshit about not liking cotton candy.
Nope, never have.
You probably like them rockets that you get at Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Of course I do.
I got some drywall right here. Why don't you eat that?
Doesn't taste like cherries,
It's
does
the same
it?
damn thing. In the U.S., you call them Smarties. Sweet Robbie G's here.
No way.
Yep, Sweet Robbie G.
It's a time for hockey talk. Oh, yeah.
Oh, we haven't even mentioned hockey yet, but now that you do, getting closer to playoffs.
Mhm.
Playoffs.
Oh my gosh.
I just want to win a game. 3 seconds. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. UFO report continues here momentarily. But first, I want to remind all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives. Notice I said the word free. Why did I say the word free, Tim?
Because it's your show and that's the way you want it to be.
That's right. That's right. YouTube, any major podcast network, you could get it all free for there. Right there. For free for you. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, which Tim has done a great job updating recently. You can have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Now, during the break, we had a very crass debate, Tim and I. This lanky curmudgeon here literally tells Cotton Candy to get off my lawn. He doesn't like cotton candy. And you are getting a bunch of support on this in the chat room.
Oh, no, they're my people. They're my people. Thanks for the support, everybody.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. How do you not like cotton candy?
I think probably, in all honesty, I think when I was a kid, I think I might have OD'd on it at one point at a fair or something. But yeah, it was the same as, green apples and raw peas too. Can't eat them. I OD'd on them and got very ill. So I think that must have happened somewhere because.
Okay, speaking of carnival treats then.
Yes, okay.
The candy apple or the caramel apple?
Caramel apple.
Oh, those are great.
That's the only time I can eat it if there's a green apple under with a caramel. Oh, damn. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You get the green apple with the caramel. But you had to get them early because later on the apple's got a little soft.
Yeah.
Underneath.
Yeah.
But that's good stuff with the caramel over top. Good stuff.
Absolutely.
I also did some homework.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I did. So we were talking about Marshall Applewhite earlier.
Yes.
And Heaven's Gate. I was going to say Hell's Gate.
No, that's not
Heaven's Gate on the anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
Comet Hale-Bopp will return to Earth in roughly 2,399 years.
Oh, perfect.
And so that would take us to year 4385.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow I don't think I'm going to be here to see it.
Oh, I was going to invite you over for supper. We could sit on the deck.
No way, man.
Okay.
Yeah, year 4385 is when Hale-Bopp comes back with the Marshall Applewhite UFO flying behind it.
Wow.
Weird. So I did some other research.
Uh-huh.
Remember Halley's Comet?
Yes.
Yeah. Halley's Comet, which came to Earth or flew past Earth in, I believe, 1986.
Yeah.
There's a lot of news around that one because it comes every 75 years. It will return. We have a shot at this one.
Oh.
We do. 2061.
Ooh.
Yeah. I will be 92 years old, or hold on, 2061. No, I'll be 89 years old if I make it.
Yeah.
That would be kind of cool because I remember seeing Halley's Comet when I was a kid.
I think it'd be 95, 94, 95, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So some of us have a shot at seeing Halley's Comet again. I don't know about you, but I know I do.
Good luck to you, brother.
Yeah. Yep. As long as the blood pressure medication continues to work, and I can breathe through a CPAP, I am fine.
Exactly.
I am a medical miracle coming on up. I also did some thought here, okay, on what you were saying about Lou Elizondo prior to this. Lou has done hundreds of interviews,
right? And
his message is always the same about the threat narrative,
right?
About, we have to be ready. They want our nukes. They want this. They want that. Isn't it a little bit different from what Jake Barber is doing these days? Because Jake Barber had an emotional connection after summoning UFOs.
Yes.
Using his psionics. Right? I like using my fingers on that. I give myself a little temple rub while I do that. And And anyways, the connection that Jake says is very peaceful. It's very soul connected. An invasion of aliens is not going to connect to your soul in peace, love, and light, man.
I'm thinking not.
It's not. And here we have two sides of the spectrum now.
Uh-huh.
So we have the threat narrative spectrum that all of this is bad. They're coming to get us, like the big bad wolf or any other fairy tale that you want to play. And you have Jake Barber now, who's the new Golden Boy whistleblower, saying this is amazing. We could connect with our minds, and this is all. It affected me emotionally. This is great. This is this superhuman connection that we have with ethereal beings that are allowing us to see their ships fly in the sky at the thought of our mind.
Yeah.
So what is it? Granted, it's both.
I was just thinking.
But that means you have government agents playing two different narratives.
Right.
And as we have said on this show thousands of times now, there is no threat narrative. All right. You heard our guest earlier. He believes that 95% of all ETs are good, and there's 5% that could do some damage.
Sure.
Okay. Because let's face it, not all humans are good.
Oh, exactly.
There's probably 5%, maybe higher, of that population of this planet of 8.5 billion?
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah.
That are not good people.
True.
Okay. That aren't going to hold a door open for you.
No.
They're non-tippers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Pink.
So that's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
What message are people going to believe now? What message is healthy for them to believe? What's your thoughts?
See, yeah, okay. I'm looking at it, and I think I think they come from two different schools. I think that helps, well, not helps, but I think that has helped sculpt and determine their thought process in this. I think that the basics are all there. Obviously, they believe in the extraterrestrial. They claim to have seen that. They've been involved with it. But I think where Lou was his job in the military compared to Barber's job, you have two different dynamics there. So I'm thinking that with Lou, he was what, with the stuff he did, I think also he learned that there were threats. That was his job, was to protect. Whereas I think Barber was the mechanic, and he'd fly helicopters and retrieve stuff. So I'm thinking it's, for lack of a better term, both the way they were raised or grew up in the business, and I think that helped determine, it's old school of thought versus new school of thought. I would seriously like to prefer to believe Jake's side of it, where it's all love, light, and peace and stuff like that. And I would definitely like to push away from Elizondo's threat narrative, because it's becoming old and worn out, I guess, in my opinion.
And because our after hours host Rob G
Mm-hmm.
is listening, just another anniversary tonight, because
Mm-hmm.
he loves hockey.
Yeah, I know he does.
Yeah, tonight is the 28th anniversary as well of the Detroit Red Wings Colorado Avalanche brawl, where Patrick Waugh and Mike Vernon went at it.
That's great.
It was a beautiful thing.
It was.
I watched them highlights. They made me well up a little bit.
I think Rob pulled the VCR and everything out of the old mothballs and got some old Don Cherry VHSs going, and I probably.
Oh yeah, absolutely he did. Absolutely he did. But no, getting back to what you're saying on a serious note here.
Mm-hmm.
The messages that are being spread out by these people who are allegedly in the know,
Yes.
is going all over the board now.
Oh, yeah.
And if we have to take a look at this
Mm-hmm.
and try and break it down, they're making it damn near impossible.
Yes.
Okay. Because I don't know if you see it. I see it a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but I see a lot of confusion with people choosing sides. Do you stick with Elizondo and the threat narrative? Do you go with Jake Barber and the peace, love, and light? Let's connect to them mentally.
Right.
Okay. This is U-apology 101.
Mm-hmm.
Ufology's already been through all of this.
Right.
U-apology is just learning that there's some shenanigans being played here.
Yeah.
Okay. So discern wisely, people.
Yeah, exactly.
Discern wisely on what you want to believe and form your own opinion. Formulate what works for you and then study it to see if there's any logic to it.
Exactly. I mean, when I was coming up through the trades and I was an apprentice, I mean, drawing a weird parallel, but I remember, the journeymen and the people saying the same along that same lines. It's like, listen to what everybody has to say. Take what you want or what works for you and make it your own. And you're right, discern, and you don't have to believe everything. And yeah, that's this faction of team A and team B. I don't think there has to be that, right? I honestly don't. I just think that you have to be able to be comfortable enough to make up your own mind and go with and research what you want to research and look into. And stop looking, I shouldn't say it like that. Don't expect the answers just to come from people from the outside, even though they all say, well, I've been there and I saw and I know. Form your own opinions, right? That's the way that I'm learning how to do this.
Well, it's all up to you.
Mm-hmm.
It's all up to you. All we can do is provide the party that we call ufology
That's
or
right.
U-apology and run with it from there.
Yeah.
What else do you got for us?
All righty. Well, this one's a tale of lore from a long time ago. So this comes from 1897. So in the annals of American UFO lore, a few events rival the intrigue surrounding the supposed crash of a UFO in Aurora, Texas in 1897. So long before the infamous Roswell incident of 1947, the Aurora UFO crash captivated local residents and has been a subject of speculation for over a century. So the Aurora UFO incident occurred in April of 1897 when a mysterious flying object allegedly crashed into a windmill on the property of a local resident named J.S. Smith. Reports describe the object as a cigar-shaped and emitting a loud noise as it spiraled down to the ground. Smith, along with other residents, claimed to have found the wreckage scattered across the area with debris, including metal fragments and the body of a small humanoid being. The local newspaper, the Aurora Gazette, published an article detailing the crash, which has become a cornerstone of the incident's narrative. The article claimed that the alien, described as a Martian, was buried in a cemetery near the crash site. The publication not only stoked local interest, but also placed Aurora at the forefront of UFO discussions in America, making it a focal point for early extraterrestrial folklore. Despite the sensationalism surrounding the event, many skeptics have questioned the authenticity of the claims. Some believe the incident was a hoax or a case of mistaken identity, possibly fueled by the public's growing fascination with aviation and technology in the 1890s. Nevertheless, the Aurora crash remains significant and enduring mystery in the realm of UFO encounters. So prior to the Aurora incident, there was a notable surge in UFO sightings across the United States, particularly in the late 19th century. Excuse me. The fascination with the aerial phenomenon was heightened by advancements in technology and the burgeoning interest in flight. Reports of the mysterious airships began to emerge as early as 1896, with numerous sightings across various states, including California and Illinois. The social climate of the time also contributed to the proliferation of these stories. The United States was undergoing rapid industrialization, and people were both excited and fearful of these new technologies. The environment bred fertile ground for the emergence of UFO legends like that of Aurora, as the public grappled with the implications of what these phenomenons could mean for humanity. Before the transformative event of the 20th century, interest in extraterrestrial life and other worldly phenomenon was limited but growing. The Aurora incident was seen as a precursor to the more organized UFO culture that would develop later in the 20th century, setting the stage for subsequent sightings and eventual Roswell incident. So, excuse me, eyewitness accounts serve as the backbone of the Aurora UFO narrative. But the credibility has been a topic of intense debate. Residents of the small town claim to have witnessed the crash and the subsequent events, yet many skeptics argue that their testimonies are anecdotal and lack corroborative evidence. The Aurora Gazette article is often cited as the primary source, but some critics point out that it may have been sensationalism or even fabricated for entertainment. Moreover, no physical evidence of the crash has ever been conclusively linked to extraterrestrial origins. So, when comparing the Aurora incident to the Roswell crash, several intriguing similarities and differences emerge. Both events are characterized by claims of UFO crashes, local witnesses, and subsequent media coverage that captured public imagination. In their respective times, both incidents sparked interest in the possibility of extraterrestrial life contributing to the broader UFO culture in America. However, significant differences exist as well. While the Aurora incident was largely regional, it did not attract national attention until years later. The Roswell incident quickly ballooned into national sensationalism. Thanks, buddy. Tickle.
Hey, that's why we have Halls in the studio.
That's right.
That's why we got Halls in the studio. Free plug for Halls there.
Yeah, nice. Nicely done.
Free plug for Halls. Radio journalist best friend.
And
let
me
get that right. Let me get that one right. Yeah, Aurora is an amazing event.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still a lot of questions about that. You know, whether or not we're able to move forward with what has been found there. And some people still believe there is debris in the ground.
Yes.
Some people still believe that those there are some pieces of it, you know, just like, I don't know, what Roswell.
Exactly.
So,
well, and even I like the alien being in the graveyard. I mean, you know, part of the lore, I suppose, but the 1800s, that's incredible. That's incredible. And I can imagine the fear, right? Not knowing, and the technology just rolling.
Well, especially at that time.
Exactly, right?
I mean, when was it? 1890?
1897 or
okay.
Yeah,
flight wasn't even invented then.
No, right?
I mean, yeah, there were hot air balloons,
but
flight, well, there was no airplanes. I mean, this would have been completely foreign.
Exactly.
You know, completely foreign to these people. I mean, life was very simple back then. I mean, when you were on the farm, you farmed.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't worry about that grade 3 education like my grandma has.
Right.
Okay. There was work to do on the farm. And that's what you did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, you're right. And much simpler and stuff. But yeah, just that industrialization of the Americas and Canadas and stuff like that at that time. That I think in itself would cause mass anxiety, but then seeing, like you say, something flying across the sky, like, what is that?
They would have had no clue.
Nope.
No clue.
Not at all. Gosh. Yeah. I just put myself in their shoes. I'd be like, holy smokes. So yeah, very interesting. I thought Aurora. I was like, okay, but that's a long time ago, my friends.
Deb in the chat room saying tonight, Dave and Tim, I took an SOR poll, and the chat wants you guys to do the news shirtless tomorrow night.
Really?
I'm not doing that.
No, me neither. We want the audience to stay. We don't want to make them ill.
Well, the good part about it is the radio people couldn't see it.
That's true.
That is just, I mean, so we can do it for the radio people.
Sure.
We just can't do it for the social media people.
Yeah, no.
No, that would not pan. We got about a minute to go here before we have to say goodnight on this great episode. Man, what a show.
No doubt. If we can get Tim back, would you like? I'm sure the ladies liked him without a shirt on.
Just a
Not this
necktie.
time. Just
He
a
was a
necktie.
good-looking guy.
Absolutely.
Good-looking guy.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, no, it was good. But I mean, just the information that was packed. I don't usually listen to our episodes when we're done.
Mm-hmm.
I may have to listen to this one.
Yeah. Yeah. There was some stuff that I have to redo for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. By the way, the next comet that is supposed to appear next year. And they're not sure yet if you'll need binoculars or you can see it with your naked eye.
Ooh. Holy.
Yeah, there is one coming this year, but it's going to be so close to the sun.
No.
The sun is going to blind it out. You need one of them, Science Bob-like telescopes.
No kidding.
Sitting in your backyard that has like all sorts of bending in it for the mirrors to work.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. Crazy.
It's all about the refraction.
Yeah, that's right. If you don't get enough refraction, what do you got?
That's right.
Nothing.
Nothing.
You got stigmatisms like I have.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Tim James, another great UFO report.
Thank you.
Thank you for updating us on Lou Elizondo's story. Appreciate that. Appreciate you, Tim. And hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Bob. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio. Rocking and zooming out every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat room tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Elgin, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on X, #Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyrighted by Space Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us. Because together, my
don't
friend,
make a mistake. We're watching.
beyond the night, Mr. Bumblefoot. He did a favor. Yes, the moon train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, please have to be a friend too. Thank you. You gotta be kidding me.
No, don't even. Do, 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 do. Okay, what happened, buddy?
Oh, well.
Mm-hmm.
What a great show.
It was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Good job, Dave.
Great job, Dave. And Tim, and not me. Talking to the other Tim. That was a great show. I don't think people get it. I really don't.
We don't get it.
No, the audience. Hey, Tim gets to follow a guy like the other Tim. It's like, okay, what am I going to talk about?
Remember the keyboard or the typewriter on wheels?
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Guy comes in talking about aliens and pods and stuff. And it's like, boom. And here's little Timmy James.
Mm-hmm.
My gosh.
Yep.
regardless, fantastic show.
That was a beauty.
Mm-hmm.
It was a beauty, people. A sheer beauty.
She's a beauty.
She's a beauty.
1 in a million.
Yeah, that's what you are. You're 1 in a million, babe. You're a shooting star.
Don't you know that you are a shooting star?
Don't you know that you're a shooting star?
Have you seen Paul Rogers lately?
No.
Oh my goodness.
Big boy?
No, he's about as thick as your mic stand.
Oh, really?
But he was down in Florida doing something at a fundraiser. And so Michael Anthony from Van Halen, Sammy Hagar fame did a reel with him. I guess did a sell. Oh my good God. It's like aged beyond oh my goodness. Yeah, he's very, 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 very old looking.
It happens.
Yeah, well. Look at me, 900 years old, according to you.
Oh my God. Filling in for the ailing Tim James on the UFO report, Courtney Marcassani. Of course,
Nice.
I cannot use that one because that's when we had the audio issue. Frig, I closed the whole thing.
Oh no. All right, I'm not even gonna.
You sons of bitches.
Oh. So Deb from Saxback, where the heck have you been, Deb? What's your excuse? We didn't get a note. Didn't get need a note.
Yep. Pyramid 7, how you doing? Oh, for God's sakes, I closed the goddamn window. Really? We're going to have one of these nights?
No, it's just a moment in the
honestly, you want to know what it is?
Hmm.
I'm stressed out because I had a day off today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
I had a
good
day
for
off
you.
today.
Yeah.
But it's the mental stress of going back to the office tomorrow.
Yeah. No, not cool.
Because in scenarios like this, you never know what you're walking into.
Yeah, midweek.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of weird.
So,
but, yeah.
It's the way it is. It's the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to hate that. Back in the day when I worked in kitchens thousands of years ago. Yeah, the weird days off. Like, I mean, you always work the weekends because, I mean, restaurants are busy in the weekends. But, yeah. Okay, so you're full-time. You're working Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You're getting Monday and Wednesday off. I'd be like, what? What? Yeah. And you don't know what.
I don't mind it because I work 2, day off, work 3, day off. But it's just, you never know what you're walking into that day.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just like you get that stress ball, that tightening up of your body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always found that was difficult too, because you don't know what you're walking into. Simply, everybody's normally starting on the same page and working Monday to Friday or whatever it is, and so everybody, I hated it.
Yeah. So, is what it is.
Yep.
Phil Jones, how you doing?
Humanity, and maybe I come to that as
All right. That's the one. That's the one right there.
Yes, split days off do suck, Chris.
Yeah, I noticed she's been coming in later on lately, so that way we can't do the official pause.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, she waits till I stop talking. I know. I'm on to her.
Did I help build the pyramids? Thanks, Mel.
He's the one who made the columns underneath.
I got the blueprints from you, though.
He even had the hard hat going on there with the orange vest
and then big wolf ears and
oh my god.
oh my, it's funny. Where Rob run away? Oh, he's probably watching some more hockey highlights.
He did watch the fight.
Did he?
Yeah. So that fight wasn't too bad. And it's like, that's a brawl.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You never played hockey, did you?
No.
Oh, man.
No.
I was in a couple of brawls. They're fun.
Oh, yeah.
They're scary,
Yeah.
but they're fun.
Yeah. I was football and rugby.
Yeah.
And I could never figure out why the hell you should be able to fight in football. You weren't enough padding.
Yeah, it's I was in like 2 I participated in, and like 2 I just held on. No, hold on, that's 3 I participated in. Never started one.
No.
And held on for 3, like just guy didn't want to go.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You know?
Let's watch these 2. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Mel was the supervisor of the. That's right. Forgot about that.
Tim is the guy who carried the blueprints in one of those cardboard tubes.
Like Mr. Brady.
Yeah, like Mr. Brady. Remember when he one
Oh my
of the
God.
kids lost it or whatever? They were blaming that idol
Oh, yeah, when they were in Hawaii.
when they were in Hawaii. Yeah.
That's right. It's always Marsha.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
You know what's weird?
No.
Alice on that show.
Yeah.
She was like early 40s.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that's what's scary because it trips me out. Like you look at people in their 40s, or like 30s and 40s and 50s.
Yep.
Back in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Yep.
They looked freaking old.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Andy Griffith's show, like all that stuff.
Andy Griffith looked 60 when he was 20.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Don Knotts. He didn't look old till Three's Company. But
like Norman Farrell, he was in his 40s in Three's Company.
You wouldn't suspect, even if you sat and watched it today, you'd go, yeah, that guy's older than I am.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean.
Or Archie Bunker. He was in his early 40s when Archie Bunker was on.
I know.
And he looked ancient.
Yep.
Ancient.
Yeah. Yes. Ed Sullivan, the old Ed Sullivan shows and stuff like, yeah, we're older than they were.
Yeah. It's crazy. It really is crazy on how old they look.
I'll do that. Like if we're watching a movie or something and it's like, man, this is odd. Like watching old Clint Eastwood or whatever. I'll pick up the phone and I'll Google it. How old was he when he filmed this movie? Holy crap. He's 23 years younger than I am today when he made this. It's like,
and he still looks 60.
I know.
It's like when he was doing the Dirty Harry movies, he looked like he was, 65.
Oh, yeah. No. Mid 40s.
Yeah. Brutal.
I know.
The only one who hasn't changed, Eddie Murphy. You seen him? He still looks the same.
Yeah.
He still looks the same.
Christine does that too. Right? Yeah. I'll look up cat. I don't know why I do that. It's like even I'm a huge fan of old British comedies. My grandmother, right? And, go over to her place on the weekends and stuff like that. Her and my grandfather's, and we'd watch On the Buses. And
I loved On the Buses.
I've got the whole collection.
No way.
Yep. And So anyway, yeah, I watch on the buses and I'll get into a kick and I'll just sit down in the man cave and I'll throw them on and I love them. And I do, go through and I go do a cast check on that episode, right? Oh, that was in 1975. So I was 10 and then blah, blah, blah. And I'm going through the thing and I'll go, oh, wow. Even mom in the show is younger on the show than I am sitting here watching it right now. It's like she looks like 900.
Case in point.
Thanks, buddy. Yeah, I'm leaving.
I hope I look like you at 900.
Yeah, well, I hope I look like me at 900. I don't want to be 900.
I want to live forever, man.
Not me.
If I can do one of them skinwalker things. Oh yeah, I'm in.
We can't eat. You got to quit eating sticks then.
Never.
See, so weighing it
God,
out.
I love ice cream.
Me too.
Yeah, you got to try the shark attack.
I will now.
It's got the gray in there for the shark skin.
Mm-hmm.
It's got blue for the water.
Yeah.
And then it's got like strawberry red veins
through
it for the blood.
Okay.
It's freaking awesome, dude.
So what is it, like a licorice? That's my new word. We're gonna eat some licorice.
There's no licorice taste to it at all.
Really, the gray, eh? Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
I gotta try it.
Yeah, you should. You should. I highly recommend it.
All right. Well, now you got me.
Yeah. Work on it. Morning, Stephen Finnegan.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Life's sweet. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
What is what?
Oh, just going back to Monday when you're all ready to go beat the shit out of your critics.
I ain't gonna beat the shit out of him. I was pissed off. Yeah, whatever.
Tim got critics. Some of us got
okay.
aliens. Some of us got aliens. Well, you got critics.
That's okay.
Not crickets. Critics.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, just whatever. La 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 la. Good to build a bridge. Get over it. I'm fine now. I was not happy Monday though. You are correct.
Oh, it was hilarious.
I was laughing my ass off.
Because inside I'm like, finally it's not me.
Yeah, I know.
Finally it's not me.
Yeah. Why isn't Nicole Sackich on the show instead of Tim? Well, they bring Courtney back. She can at least string a sentence together. And you know what?
Oh, it's good times.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's good times.
I'm trying.
I did see the Bigfoot guitar Mel WD-40.
What?
Yeah, there's a Bigfoot shaped guitar. Like,
oh yeah, I like the foot.
yeah.
Huh.
Oh, Chris. Teen is sticking up for you here.
Thanks.
No one talks crap about nice Tim James, for fuck's sakes.
Ooh, you got the FFS going on.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep, there she
Teen.
goes. Uh-huh.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Timmy just had a little bit of a pout session was what was happening. Get her in perspective. Everybody's entitled
Half
to their
a box
opinions.
of fucking tissues that I had.
Hey, I told you not to mention that.
Mm.
God. It was only a quarter box of tissues.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sitting on this side of the desk a couple of times. It's okay, Dave, man. It's all right. You know, people just got their opinion.
Excrement. Unprofessional. Oh, one of my critics, he's no longer in the UFO world. He's taken a hiatus because, you know, I don't know, maybe his wife's feet stunk or something like that. I don't know. Anyways, you hear him talk. Spaced out radio. Unprofessional. Excrement. Sewage. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Oh yeah. Just a cook.
Just a cook.
That's what he called Nicole. Just a cook.
Oh, really?
She's not a researcher. She's just a cook.
Holy Christ.
Mm-hmm.
If I could have as much knowledge as she has in her pinky finger, I would be happy. I would be happy.
What else did I get called? Cole, help me out here.
Help him out,
What
Nicole.
did I get called?
Did you ever get called a grifter?
I have been called grifter.
Shut up.
Not by him.
No.
By another channel that collects super chats.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. I've been called sold out radio.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because apparently I don't challenge my guests enough.
I would like to debate that.
Let's see. I've been called grifter.
Mm-hmm.
I've been called fake journalist.
Yeah, well, I know that one.
Yeah. I've been called an asshole a few times.
Well, that's a daily thing for me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's crazy.
What time is it where Nicole's at? Holy cow.
It's 2:17.
Oh my goodness. All you late people staying up.
Yeah, 2:17.
Wow.
Yep.
Time for peanut butter and a smoke.
Right. Bombshell. We don't mention names here. Because it might, if you say the name 3 times, it might.
Oh, okay, Beetlejuice.
It might come back. Excrement was one of my favorites, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sewage was another one, I believe. Yeah. That was a good one.
What's banging her? Oh. Grandson should be sleeping, shouldn't he?
Oh, he's sleeping. Yeah, the grandson's.
I slept and woke up at 9:30. See, she's smart.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's hilarious.
Now she's eating cookies and milk. All right.
See if I can find one here.
Now.
Is that one where I'm hold on, let me just see, because it's usually either in the top paragraph or the bottom paragraph. Not there. Hold on.
What's this?
You know what word we don't use enough anymore?
Son of a bitch.
Spew.
Uh-huh. Probably a reason for that.
Why?
I don't know. Ask Mel WD-40. I'm just saying.
How can I go? There it goes.
Spew.
Hold on, I'm trying to find something here. Let's go here. Wow.
Can't find it?
Oh, there's a bunch. I just gotta find.
Oh, the one. Okay.
It's usually about every six weeks that I take one, right? Try this one.
What?
No, not there. Maybe this one. Just want one example. That's all I want. One example.
We'll be right back after these messages.
Nope. That's one. Here's one of the titles. Global Disclosure Day. Let the excrement flow. Hold on. I might be in this one. Let me see here. No. 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 Not me there. Getting disappointed here.
Excuse me. Thanks for the halls, buddy.
Oh, this one should have me. Hold on.
Good night, Dad.
So here's one of mine. I'll read just a paragraph from it. And for too long of a time, I came to realize how wasteful spending time on such shows can truly be, and how destructive it is to the entire UFO subculture. Unfortunately, Dave Scott's show is only the tip of the embarrassing iceberg, with a whole plethora of shows actively he stole my word there. Broadcasting nonsensical content while being hosted by people who seemingly have no idea how to appear serious-minded or how to communicate in a professional, productive manner. So there's one.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. There's one.
That person still has a show going? And
Oh, this person? No. No. Rude.
Rude.
And let's see if we can find more. I want to find the one here. Where is it? Depends on. And the funny part about it is his wife is an experiencer who he's convinced to deny her experiences.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. All right. Is that it?
Jesus, Murphy.
No.
Oh, excuse me. Oh.
Oh, well. Gonna forget about it.
That's all right.
Go there. Close that out. Go there. Damian White, how you doing? Oh, man. Freaking hilarious. Freaking hilarious.
It's freaking hilarious.
That's the type of stuff we do here. Excrement.
Sewage.
Sewage. There's another good one that I got called by him, and it just makes me laugh now. I'm pissed off that I can't find it. Mm-hmm. All right. On that note, we're getting out of here. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you. Thank you tonight to Deborah Rooney ×2, A. Brock, Caged on the Inside, Galactic J, Cosmic Joe, Mel WD40, and Frankie for the super chats. Appreciate the love and support. Tomorrow night on the show, who do we got? Brian Bowden is here, filling in for Varla Ventura. So we're going to have a good show tomorrow night. Yeah, we are. Yeah, it'll be excrement. Promise you. Ross Lambda, how you doing? Good night, everybody. Sleep well. See you tomorrow.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.